Thank you very much. And so we'll resume at this time. We once again thank you for your patience. Now, I'm not sure what part was or wasn't live streamed. So just for information purposes, we've already had our opening prayer. And so we'll continue, if we could do so, with matters arising from the minutes. And as there were none, we'll jump right into 1.6 bereavement, Matthew Blair. And so we'll turn it back over to you, Chief Superintendent Anderson.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. At this time, I would invite Superintendent Kennard to share about the unfortunate loss of one of our beloved staff members, Matthew Blair Davidson.
Thank you. We regret to inform the Board of the death of Matthew Blair Davidson, who passed away at home on April 27, 2026, at the age of 48. Matthew faithfully lived his vocation in education after earning his degree and choosing to serve the students at St. Benedict Elementary School with Edmonton Catholic Schools beginning in 2014. He was much loved for the compassion, patience, and joy he brought to his classroom, and for the generosity of spirit he shared beyond it. Through his passion for leading and growing the Hockey Academy, Matthew nurtured confidence, teamwork, and belonging in countless young people. Our St. Benedict Catholic Elementary School community is deeply saddened by the passing of Mr. Matt Davidson, a beloved grade 6 teacher, Hockey Academy director, mentor, colleague, and friend. Matthew was also a devoted husband to his wife and best friend Jane, and a deeply loving father to their son Hyde. Father and son shared a close bond and were true companions, happiest in one another's company. Matthew took immense pride in Hyde's successful junior hockey career and traveled whenever he could to watch and support him. His love for his family was unwavering, and he will be remembered as a devoted husband, proud father, and loyal friend. Matthew will be greatly missed by multitudes of people from his school, the hockey world, and family, all of whom hold Matthew in their hearts with profound fondness and appreciation for his kindness, selflessness, and genuine decency. Edmonton Catholic Schools extends sincere condolences to Matthew's family and friends. May his soul and the souls of the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. An expression of sympathy has been sent by the administration to his family on behalf of the board.
Thank you very much, Chief Superintendent Anderson and Superintendent Kennard. And as I indicated earlier, God works in mysterious ways. Matthew was a gift. He was humble and he was good-humored, and he would love this because he would be getting twice the recognition, and he should, because he was loved by the masses, as you've already indicated, and to acknowledge the great value that he brought to Edmonton Catholic Schools and the gift that he was to us all is an understatement. I was able to listen to what was shared about him at his celebration of life, and clearly he will be dearly missed. And you're absolutely right, he does leave a void that will never be forgotten. And so, because of the fact that he left an indelible legacy in all that he did. And of course, as you've indicated, Superintendent Kennard, he will be dearly missed. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, we extend our heartfelt condolences to Matthew's family, his friends, his colleagues, students, and the entire St. Benedict community and abroad. He will be remembered with great fondness and gratitude for the kindness and care that he showed to others. May his soul and the souls of all the faithful departed through the mercy of God rest in peace. And seeing no one else in queue, we will proceed to our next agenda item. Thank you once again. Thank you. And so at this time, we will move on to 1.7, award recognition. 1.7.1, ATA Council for School Leadership Distinguished Leadership Award recipients, Aza Gali and Maria Julieta Zalada. And we'll turn it back over to you, Chief Superintendent Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so just a little background on what is our Distinguished Leadership Award program. This is through the Alberta Teachers Association Council for School Leadership. And annually, they recognize outstanding principals, assistant principals, and school jurisdiction leaders who have succeeded in providing high-quality learning opportunities for students. This award recognizes outstanding Alberta school leaders, honors creative, innovative, and effective leadership, and focuses public attention on excellence in school leadership and celebrates leadership excellence. And so we are pleased to share and would love to recognize our first recipient, Asa Gali. Asa Gali, who serves as principal at St. John the 23rd Catholic Elementary Junior High School, is an exceptional educational leader whose work is defined by integrity, compassion, an unwavering commitment to student success. She leads with clear moral purpose, consistently placing relationships at the heart of her practice. Her ability to listen deeply, respond thoughtfully, and bring people together around a shared vision has earned her deep respect from students, staff, and families alike. A hallmark of Asa's leadership is her dedication to developing others. She is a skilled mentor and coach who intentionally builds leadership capacity in her staff by empowering them to take initiative, make informed decisions, and grow in confidence. Teachers under her guidance feel trusted, supported, and inspired to pursue excellence, resulting in strong instructional practice and a collaborative professional culture that directly benefits student learning. Through her visionary leadership, strong relationships, and dedication to empowering others, Asa exemplifies the very best of educational leadership and continues to make a lasting positive impact on her entire school community. So thank you, Asa, for your dedication and commitment to serving with integrity and compassion. I would invite everyone to please join me in congratulating Asa. And our second recipient is Maria Julieta Zelada, who is principal at Holy Family Catholic Elementary Junior High School. And Julieta holds various teaching and administrative roles in Edmonton over the years and worked in language programming as she is multilingual, speaking French, English, and Spanish. Julieta is a dedicated administrator who supports staff and encourages students to be the very best version of themselves. Julieta prioritizes staff wellness and creates opportunities for staff to connect, learn, and grow together. She creates an atmosphere where staff feel supported and empowered to make their own choices. Julieta fosters a community of kind and respectful learners who are celebrated for their unique individual contributions to the school and greater community. In an effort to nurture this, Julieta implemented the Caught You Being Kind campaign. Staff and students can be recognized for random acts of kindness, and these acts of kindness are read on the announcements for all to hear. This has been a big point of pride for her students and highlights the school's values of kindness and respect. Julieta, thank you for serving students, staff, and their families with kindness and compassion. So please join me in congratulating Julieta. And so, Madam Chair, I will read the recommendation that the Board of Trustees recognizes and celebrates Asa Gali and Maria Julieta Zelada for receiving the Alberta Teachers Association Council for School Leadership Distinguished Leadership Award.
Thank you very much, Chief Superintendent Anderson. I couldn't refrain from smiling and like, wow, this is extraordinary. You're both extraordinary. And it never fails. ECSD staff are humble. And as Chief Superintendent Anderson was reading your tributes, I could see the both of you respectively when she was reading each one of yours. You didn't know what to do with yourselves. And it was kind of like, am I supposed to be looking? Am I supposed to be smiling? Am I supposed to be thank you? But what's really obvious is I know the both of you personally, and I know that you're really good at giving accolades, but you're not so good at accepting them when they're about you. And today is your time. Now, I saw the look of pride from the assistant principals who are here to support their principal. I saw the look of pride on your children's faces. And so that speaks volumes. Like they were just kind of like, oh, that's my mom. And for you, like that's our principal. And this is who we are. And this is what we truly enjoy and what we're good at and why we do succeed. Congratulations to our Distinguished Leadership Award recipients. You both have a remarkable repertoire of gifts, and each one of you brings such value to our division. Clearly, one of the reasons, and we take great pride in this, one of the reasons that we continue to be deemed as one of Alberta's top employers for the 11th year in a row is because of people like you. It's because of staff like you who are able to go into their schools and able to empower your staff to do the very thing that you do best. We are absolutely delighted and echo the sentiments of those who nominated you. Your outstanding, effective leadership to serve is not only exemplary, but it's an example to each and every one of us and those that you serve. To say that your student leadership has made a difference in the lives of our students, in the lives of our families, and in the lives of our staff is an understatement. And we commend you both for empowering and fostering excellence as a distinguished leader in our division. Your commitment and steadfast dedication speaks volumes to who you are in our division. And again, we thank you. Thank you for intentionally fostering a culture of love, encouragement, and belonging, and ensuring that your school community feels valued, supported, and cared for. We celebrate all that you bring, and we applaud the impact that you continue to make. And I keep talking, and my trustees are my fellow colleagues are getting really frustrated here because we want to speak too. So you just have to sit tight and hear all of the wonderful things that are going to continue to be said about you. So just sit back, enjoy, because tomorrow you've got to go back and be exactly who you are, which is extraordinary. So I'm going to turn it over to Vice Chair Tuchansky first. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is such an opportunity to recognize you two extraordinary leaders. To be recipients of this amazing award is just simply remarkable, but of course, it's not surprising. It recognizes leaders who do far more than just manage our schools. It celebrates those who inspire, innovate, build community, and create learning environments where students and staff can truly flourish, both in their faith and their abilities. Both of you exemplify exactly what we all long for in leadership. Throughout every school and community you've served, you have consistently gone out of your way to make meaningful and positive change happen. You lead with faith, compassion, courage, integrity, and an unwavering belief in the potential of every child. Your impact is not measured only in programs or initiatives, but in the lives that are changed, sometimes through what may seem like one small act of care or encouragement. One beautiful example of this was during Az's time at Monsignor William Irwin, when she arranged for a young student to pipe in the Lieutenant Governor of Alberta. That single opportunity sparked something extraordinary for her and her proud parents. It led to many future invitations, countless occasions to perform, and experiences that helped build confidence, pride, and connection. It is such a powerful reminder that great leaders see possibility in children before they see it in themselves. Julieta leads in much the same way, creating schools that are rooted in kindness, belonging, wellness, and respect. Through all of your initiatives, you've fostered a culture where students and staff feel seen, valued, and celebrated for who they are and how they care for each other. Both of you, strong and amazing women, remind us that leadership in Edmonton Catholic schools is ultimately about people, relationships, and hope. I am profoundly grateful for your dedication, your example, and the countless ways that you continue to shape our students, our staff, families, and our communities for the better. Well done, good and faithful servants.
Thank you very much for the beautiful words, Vice Chair Turchansky. Next in queue is Trustee Tiber. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So first of all, congratulations, Asa and Julieta. This is so exciting for you. And the ATA Distinguished Leadership Award recognizes school leaders, like yourselves, who shape culture, develop their team, and put students at everything that you do. And reading this, what stood out for me is that both of you lead from a place of relationships first. I mean, Asa, you build leadership capacity in your teachers. Julieta, you have created the Caught You Doing Something Right campaign. No, Caught You Being Kind campaign. I want to get that right. And it's a beautiful expression of what Catholic education looks like in a daily practice. It is something that you physically see, and this is what we are all about when we talk about our kids. And I just want to thank both of you. You know, thank you for how do I put this? It's no accident. You know, your leadership, it's every day, each day, and it's continuous. And for that, you both make Edmonton Catholic Schools proud. So thank you so much for your leadership and for really, truly seeing our kids and Catholic education as better for it. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your beautiful words, Trustee Tiber. And next in queue is Trustee Ingle. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Congratulations to both of you for receiving the Distinguished Leadership Award. I remember back in the day, the ATA took us out for dinner. I'm a little sorry about that, but I mean, nevertheless, your dedication, compassion, and steady leadership not only makes a real difference in the schools you serve, it makes a real difference to Edmonton Catholic Schools. We love to talk about being a preferential employer 11 years in the world, 11 years in a row, Alberta's top employer. We're the top employer because of you, not just the effect you have in the schools, but the effect you have throughout the whole district. When I look at you as mentoring young leaders, mentoring students, and carrying that forward, that remarkable kindness, that remarkable leadership. Though I just can't thank you enough. Because of you, we are strong. And I'm so glad that you won this very deserving award. And I wish Amber was here so I could complain about my lack of invitation to the banquet, but I will do that when I run into her. Again, thank you. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your leadership. And thank you for the difference you make in the lives of students, teachers, and families every single day. Thank you.
Beautifully said. Thank you very much, Trustee Ingle. Next in queue is Trustee Mutala. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to just echo what all of my fellow trustees have said. And I just want to wish you a big congratulations and thank you for winning this award, because it shows you are wonderful Catholic leaders for us. And you make us very proud. You are positive role models and mentors to your staff and your community and the whole Catholic community. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you do, and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, Trustee Mutala. And seeing no one else in queue, I'm honored to acknowledge our exemplary leaders and read the recommendation for the record that the Board of Trustees recognizes and celebrates Asa Gali and Maria Julieta Zalata for receiving the Alberta Teachers Association Council for School Leadership Distinguished Leadership Award. Congratulations to you both for being recipients of this. Yeah, we're clapping again. We love to clap. Yes, this is true. But you know,
Put your phone on you.
again, you are truly beacons of hope. You've heard it from so many. It was read in your tribute. Many of the trustees have acknowledged you, but that's how you're seen, as beacons of hope. And so we wish the both of you a blessed and rejuvenating, well-deserved summer. I know you still have 1 month to go, but we're getting there. But as this is the last agenda item before proceeding to business of the meeting, I'm confident that you may wish to enjoy the gift of time and celebrate this prestigious award recognition with colleagues, of course with family, family. And so this is your big chance to slip away, or you can stay because you can enjoy what promises to be probably a very long meeting. So I'm just going to pause and then let you decide what you'd like to do, but we wish to thank you once again. And so, yeah, it's recess time. Go for it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Thank you for all those who came in support. Thank you. Celebrating makes us strong, so tomorrow at your schools can keep celebrating.
Thank you once again. So again, what a delightful way to start our meeting. And on the heels of excellence, we're honored and proud to proceed to the first agenda item under number 2, business of the meeting, 2.1, student voice, 2025 to 2026. And we'll turn it back over to you, Chief Superintendent Anderson.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So just to provide some background, our division has a long history of providing opportunities for student engagement to inform the work of our division. Our Student Voice team is comprised of 2 students from each high school and assists the board and administration by providing a student perspective to improving the quality of education in the division within the framework of the Division Plan for Continuous Growth. I will turn it over to Executive Director Susan McCauley to make some introductions, because we have guests joining us, and provide some highlights of our Student Voice this year.
Thank you so much, Chief Superintendent Anderson. I would like to welcome Jacob Dooling and Lynn Shane Castro, who have joined us for the meeting. So, hi. Thanks for coming. I know it's such a busy time for you. Our Student Voice team met 4 times this year, and the matters which were discussed were of significance to our division. The topics included helping us to understand the impacts of the labor disruption on their learning and well-being, providing student perspective on what the priorities for the ECSD 3-year education plan 2026 to 2029 might be, sharing their experiences of class size and complexity, advising our human resource recruitment team on their projects to keep our graduates who are going into post-secondary studies and education connected with the division, supporting our Creating Communities of Belonging team and making connections between Catholic social teaching and the social justice projects in our schools, reviewing the draft 3-year education plan goals and priorities and providing examples of what they might look like in schools, assessing the efficacy and relevance of our team norms, defining joy in faith, learning, and school life, and giving advice to their junior high selves. The Student Voice team requires great commitment, maturity, and collaboration from each member to function properly. Our members are to be commended for demonstrating these attributes on an ongoing basis and for representing the voice of their peers effectively, responsibly, and thoughtfully. We would like to acknowledge the contributions of Savian Cartagena, Lynn Shane Castro, Jacob Dooling, Nevaeh Bartman, Lydia Ball, Alvin Onyetica, Dwayne Peralta, Stephanie Katajan, Nikita Antony, Asia Luna, Anna Bork, Lily Callahoo, Lillian Scherf, Maddie Maglio, Abby DeRose, Nathan Bellis, Callie Gieslinger, Oceana Venegasathe, Jerome Alday, Swain Carangle, Olivia Abalash, Katie Ricks, Victoria Litvinka, and Osarim Omarodion. A letter of commendation will be sent to each member of Student Voice. We would like to thank the graduating members of this group for their service to Edmonton Catholic Schools, and we look forward to meeting with this group again in the 2026-2027 school year.
Thank you very much, Executive Director Susan McCauley. And there's a couple of thank yous before I read the recommendation. I want to acknowledge Christine Meadows, Claudia Peterson, and Susanna Kaup, who are here as well. They joined us for every Student Voice. And thank you for being there to support our students and contribute to some very, some rich discussions. Susan McCauley, thank you for coordinating and leading Student Voice groups, ensuring that we hear from multiple perspectives on timely topics throughout the year. And finally, to our students, thank you so much. We are so grateful that you were able to provide just your authentic and honest voices, which is so important for us to hear, and to ensure that you are representing students across the division. We want to wish you best wishes as the school year closes. Some of you have graduations very soon, and others in a month or so. And we just want to also extend best wishes to students that will be returning to join us next year. I will turn it over to Madam Chair as I read the recommendation that the Board of Trustees acknowledges receipt of the report, Student Voice 2025-2026 for information purposes.
Thank you very much, Chief Superintendent Anderson. And I also am going to thank Executive Director McCauley and, of course, our amazing staff for coming and never missing a meeting. Like, I couldn't believe it. I thought after a full day, you still came to meet with our amazing students. And so the passion that all of you brought and the fact that you continue to facilitate these amazing student engagement opportunities with such love throughout the year. And of course, and more importantly today, to our student voice ambassadors. That's what you are. You're ambassadors of Edmonton Catholic Schools, and we are so extremely proud to call you, to call you because you basically were part of our family. We looked forward to having you. And the fact that some of you are graduating and you're not coming back next year is bittersweet. We're happy for you. We, of course, want the best for you. And we know that at the beginning, you may even come back and say hello. But as you become successful and you're going to change the world and make a difference, don't forget what school division you came from, because we'll remind you. But that being said, we just want to thank you because everything that you've done has been so instrumental to our board and to our division. The quality of education for us and the instrumental ambassadors that you've been have helped us understand the unique perspectives of our student voice. On behalf of our board, we applaud the efforts of each of you, and of course, this past year for the valuable contributions that you brought to each meeting. And at this time, I will open queue to the rest of my colleagues, as I'm confident they'll have comments that they wish to share with you as well. First in queue is Vice Chair Tuchansky. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm fast on the button today. At the heart of our division is the belief that student voice matters. Our student voice reps continue to remind us that some of the most meaningful and important insights come from the students who live the experiences of our schools each and every day. Our student voice kids were absolutely amazing. You guys all brought thoughtful perspectives, honesty, wisdom, and heart to every meeting. And of course, a bit of humor, and we did keep Mrs. McCauley on her toes a few times. Over the course of the meetings, your thoughts and perspectives were absolutely invaluable. The opportunity to discuss complex topics, ranging again from the labor disruption, class size and complexity, faith and belonging, our planning priorities, and teacher recruitment, and of course, what joy truly looks like in learning in school life was a gift. And in fact, when we think back about even the class size and complexity, your information served us very well when the government had asked for the surveys and the questionnaires, and we were absolutely able to say, not only did our teachers say this, but then our students did also. And you were just extraordinary. You were willing to speak openly and respectfully and courageously, and you gave us in the administration a perspective that simply cannot be replicated by those not walking the halls. We were so grateful for the maturity, dedication, humor, and compassion, and the thoughtful leadership demonstrated by all. You have made our division stronger and wiser, and our future is brighter because of all of you. But special thank you to Mrs. McCauley for all of your organizing, managing, and everything in between. It runs smoothly because of you, and our students have a voice because of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Tuchansky. Next in queue is Trustee Mutala. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to say a big thank you to Chief Superintendent Anderson and Susan McCauley and all the staff that participated. I was at ECSD for the last day and a half, and I was sharing some of the information they were asking about what we did with our students. They were truly amazed that we usually meet 5 times a year, but this year because of the work action, we didn't. But they were truly amazed that we meet with our students 5 times a year to get all this information from our students so we can plan for our future. So I just want to say a big thank you for all of our students that participated, the 24 students to represent our 12 high schools, and they are deeply committed to working with the trustee superintendent and all our team members to provide us information And thank you to the Student Voice team for your maturity, commitment, and dedication in representing all of your peers, your voices of your peers from your schools. We deeply appreciating working with you, this responsible group of students. And I wish everyone who is moving on good luck in their future, and those who are coming back next year, I really am looking forward to working with you again. So thank you very much, and thank you, Mrs. McCauley.
Thank you very much, Trustee Mutala. Next in queue is Trustee Tiber. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the Student Voice team, we had a heavy year, and they showed up. Each student showed up, and these were real conversations. Now, it's not just, a feel-good committee, although, very enjoyable, and we always look forward to it. It's one of the highlights of our year. But it's also input from people who most are affected by the decisions that we make. 24 students, 2 from each high school, representing thousands of their peers. I cannot tell you how many times we are out in the community and we have said, our student voice said, because the ideas that were shared were so amazing. So to every member of the Student Voice team, thank you. You spoke up, you stayed engaged, and you made Catholic education better. And to the graduating members, congratulations on graduating. You carry the confidence into whatever comes next, and you know that you made a mark on Edmonton Catholic schools that will outlast your time in our schools. So thank you to the Student Voice team. You navigated a hard year with maturity, and you gave the division real perspective, and we are better for it. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Tiber. Next in queue is Trustee Engel. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Wow, what a group we had this year. It was absolutely amazing. I tried to think of each of you as Ms. McCauley read your names. And I just got so much out of our meetings. I always looked forward to them. The food helped. It was always good food. But I did look forward to the meetings. And mostly what I looked forward to is engaging with all of you in such open and honest discussion. And we shared so many laughs, and yet we touched on so many serious issues. And I learned so much. And the one thing that I learned more than anything else is that students come up with the best ideas that sometimes adults have a hard time finding without them. So I just respect you all so much. And although I don't like saying as much as I did when I was younger, I'm going to be watching for all of you and the great things you do from my gurney chair in the nursing home. As it gets closer, I really hate saying it so much. But I will be watching for the great things that you are yet to do, because I can imagine how much better this world is going to be for the gift of each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Engel. You're having them, they're laughing because you're always making them chuckle. But maybe we could all go to the same nursing home and you can all come visit us there. Yeah, we're at that age,
I'll warm it up.
Yeah. So next in queue is Trustee Fiorello. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say quickly that it was such a joy to get to know each of you. Learning from you was absolutely invaluable for me, especially in this first year of me being a trustee. Some of the insights I gained from you were the most important, I found, in navigating this new role. So I really appreciate your honesty, your ideas, and the energy and enthusiasm you brought to each meeting. So I just want to say thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a really wonderful summer.
Thank you very much, Trustee Fiorello. And so seeing no one else in queue, again, I will reiterate my sentiments. To my colleagues, I just want to share my gratitude to the board because the enthusiasm that you all had to come and meet with these students, because you are remarkable. So they don't do this just for anyone, right? You have to be pretty remarkable and up there, so you're up there. So that being said, you are talented, you are gifted, and your leadership and maturity is an understatement. It has been a privilege and an honor to work with each and every one of you, and we wish especially our graduating members of this year's team the best and God's blessing in all that you do as you embark on this next chapter in life, and we know that you're going to make a difference in the world. And I'm honored to read the recommendation for the record that the Board of Trustees acknowledges receipt of the report Student Voice 2025 to 2026 for information purposes. Thank you once again. Thank you. And next on the agenda is 2.2 bus pass fee schedule, and I'll turn it back over to you, Chief Superintendent Anderson.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Board Policy 16 is Student Transportation Services, and it reads, Student transportation services shall be provided with due regard for safety, fiscal responsibility, ride times, and client satisfaction. Today we have Superintendent Fiacco and Manager Salerno who will provide an update on our transportation fee schedule.
Thank you, Chief Superintendent Anderson. Madam Chair, through the rest of the board, before I start the presentation, I just want to acknowledge my transportation department, some of the members of my transportation department that's with me today. Chris Salerno to my right is our manager, and in the back, I don't want to forget about our supervisors of routing, Lori Kozak and Kim Noel, our supervisor of customer service. They've been with the division for many, many years, and their knowledge and their expertise is very valuable to our division overall. As a matter of fact, I remember 8 years ago when I started my position, didn't know much about transportation. I was just figuring out the Uber app at the time, and Debbie Hunter was the manager, and Kim and Lori were there, and they supported me so well. So thank you very much for all your support. As we begin our discussion on student transportation fee schedule, I would like to ground our conversation to the principles set out in Board Policy 16, Student Transportation Services. This policy reminds us that student transportation must be provided with careful attention to safety, fiscal responsibility, reasonable ride times, and overall client satisfaction. These priorities continue to guide the decisions we bring forward today. Student transportation within the division is funded through a combination of provincial transportation grants and student transportation fees. While these sources are essential in supporting service delivery for eligible students, they do not fully cover the total cost of providing transportation. In recent years, we have seen increasing demand for yellow bus service, alongside rising costs associated with our contracted carriers. Despite ongoing efforts to manage these pressures and ensure that transportation remains both safe and equitable, the division has historically experienced a deficit in transportation services. At times, this has required us to rely on cross-subsidization, redirecting funds that would otherwise be intended to support classroom instruction. And although we received an increase in transportation funding for the 26-27 school year, this increase alone is not sufficient to fully offset the costs. As a result, an adjustment to student transportation fees is necessary to help minimize the continued impact on classroom funding, while maintaining the quality and safety of our transportation services. I will now invite Manager Chris Salerno to walk the board through the proposed fee schedule and provide further detail on the factors informing the fee schedule increase.
Today we will provide background information, an overview of the transportation system, eligibility, grant funding, expenses, and the fee schedule for the 26-27 school year. The demand for yellow busing has increased by 18% over the last 5 school years. We transport approximately 11,800 students on the yellow bus daily. To meet ridership demands, the number of yellow bus routes has increased by 20% in the last 5 years. We have added 75 yellow bus routes, bringing the total to 451. The average ride time remains steady at 21 minutes one way. To minimize costs, the division continues to share routes with Edmonton Public Schools where possible. We currently share 22 routes and plan to add more in the 26-27 school year. Since fee collection was centralized in transportation services in the 23-24 school year, the amount of uncollected fees has decreased by approximately 70%. Additionally, centralizing fee collection reduced the administrative burden on school staff, freeing up time to focus on the school's primary day-to-day operations. One of the main goals of the transportation services team is to increase fiscal responsibility to minimize cross-subsidization of classroom dollars. The division shares yellow bus routes internally by pairing schools together to minimize overall expenses. Routing efficiencies are achieved by coordinating school hours with principals and leadership services each year. On December 16, 2024, Alberta Education announced a change to the distance eligibility for K-6 students from 1 to 1.6 kilometers effective September 2025. This change in eligibility impacts roughly 1,600 yellow bus riders across more than 200 yellow bus routes. School divisions are receiving transition funding for the transported students residing within 1 to 1.6 kilometers for the 25-26 school year only. Grant funding supports school divisions in providing transportation for eligible students. However, this funding does not cover all transportation costs. In the 25-26 school year, provincial funding accounted for approximately 74% of total revenue, while transportation fees accounted for 26%. Yellow busing expenses have increased by 52% in the last 5 school years, while funding has increased by 30%. Increased carrier costs are a significant driver of overall carrier expenses. Fuel, staffing, and equipment costs have resulted in higher daily rates from our yellow bus contractors. For example, the cost of a yellow bus in 2021 was approximately $125,000 and is now roughly $205,000 per bus, or a 64% increase in 5 years. The average daily rate has increased from $282 to $377, or 34% in the last 5 years. The average daily rate will increase by 5% in the 26-27 school year. As you can see from the graph, funding consistently falls short of transportation expenses, which forces the division to divert classroom funding to cover transportation deficits or increase transportation fees to make up for the shortfall. The carrier rates are set for the 26-27 school year. However, we will negotiate rates for the 27-28 school year this fall. In speaking with other divisions about their new contract agreements, we will likely see a minimum 10% increase from our contracted carriers, which could result in a $3.5 million deficit if services and fees remain the same. The division will increase transportation fees for the 26-27 school year to minimize cross-subsidization of classroom funding. Unfortunately, further increases will be necessary if transportation funding does not improve significantly or if the division wants to maintain service levels for families. Without this fee increase, the division would be required to cross-subsidize classroom dollars of approximately $2.2 million at current service levels and existing demand. ETS fees will remain the same at $60 monthly. Kindergarten to grade 12 yellow bus fees will increase from $50 to $70 monthly, which will match Edmonton Public Schools. Pre-kindergarten to grade 12 students who access inclusive curb services will not be charged transportation fees at this time. Families will receive a letter outlining the fee increase this week. Thank you for your time today. Superintendent Fiacco and I will be happy to answer any questions.
Now I'll pass it back to Chief Superintendent Anderson for the reading of the recommendation.
Thank you very much. And so the recommendation is that the Board of Trustees acknowledges receipt of 2026-2027 student transportation fee schedule for information purposes.
Thank you very much, Chief Superintendent Anderson, Superintendent Fiacco, Transportation Services Manager Chris Salerno, and of course our amazing transportation team. As you're sitting at the back, we had reserved signs at the front for you, but you chose to sit at the back like good Catholics. That's what we do too. Your job is important because without you, our students can't get to school, and then we can't teach them. So without your department, there's not much for all of us to do. So that being said, we want to thank you. We want to thank you for all that you do, for fielding all the questions and the concerns from parents, from community, and I know that there's a lot that you deal with because oftentimes I get some of those concerns. And you deal with them to the best of your ability because, of course, if it were up to you, you would get get hundreds of buses to come, and you would do door-to-door delivery service. You would do a curb service for every child, but of course, that's not our reality. And that being said, today, coming here and apprising the board of the transportation challenges that we continue to experience, recognizing that adjusting student transportation fees is essential. We don't really have a choice due to the pressures of enrollment that we're currently experiencing, and it goes without saying because student demand is up 18% in the past 5 years alone, as you've already indicated. And so that, along with increased routes and higher carrier costs, leaves us no other choice. But despite this growing deficit, you continue, you and your team, continue to remain steadfast in your commitment to ensuring that we deliver a safe and efficient service to our students and our families families, and you continuously seek improvement aimed at increasing efficiency, shortening ride times, and reducing the need for cross-subsidization, as you so eloquently shared, Manager Salerno. We applaud the team for everything that you're doing, for supporting the equitable and sustainable service, and that fees are aligned across grade levels, and students requiring specialized transportation continue to receive service at no extra cost. So thank you for all of that. Now, this isn't it's not a motion, but I do see that there are trustees in queue who do have either comments and or questions. And first in queue is Trustee Fiorello, so I'll turn it to you. Go ahead, please, Trustee Fiorello.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I just want a point of clarification, sorry. So you mentioned that you're going to be negotiating the 27-28 rates coming up, and you're anticipating it could potentially go up by 10%. So with the new fee schedule for the 26-27 year, will that sustain us even with a bit of an increase, or will we likely need to increase it again for the following year should there be that increase?
Madam Chair, through to Trustee Fiorello, the transportation budget is reviewed yearly as the transportation grants and the amounts that come to the province are announced in the spring. So once we see that transportation grant funding, and then we look at our routes and we look at our costs for the following year. And of course, that negotiation with the carriers will be factored into those costs.
Sure. Sorry, I guess because you mentioned that previously we had used some, I remember, like cross-funding, or we've supplemented it. So do we consider supplementing it, like, so that parents aren't having to increase by, $20 a month every year? Like, is that something that we consider to kind of soften the blow, so to speak, year to year? Or are we looking to move away from that type of model and just purely increasing the fees each time in order to make up those costs?
Madam Chair, through to Trustee Fiorello, great question. Raising of the transportation fees is our last resort. And we basically wait and see what the transportation grant funding comes to us at. And thankfully this year we had a nice increase that would enable us to maintain a lot of our services that we have this year for next year without experiencing any other challenges or a reduction in those services. But unfortunately, even though we did get a raise, let's call it that, it wasn't enough to keep our transportation fees where they're at right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Fiorello. Next in queue is Trustee Engel. Go ahead, please.
Thanks very much. I was just wondering, with the yellow bus service, I know I get calls from people saying I will not send a 12 or 13-year-old on the bus. I know the majority of our junior highs are becoming K-9, but in the 7 to 9 schools, do we have a lot of yellow buses, or is that mostly reliant on city transit?
Madam Chair, through to Trustee Engel, I'll take a stab at this one from my vantage point, and I'll pass it over to Manager Salerno for more clarification or maybe even more detail. When we look at junior high transportation services, it's a combination of what ETS services are available for that particular school and how long it will take for those students to get to that school. We also look at the distance from the closest junior high to that area. So for example, Big Lake, there's no schools in Big Lake, and there's no bus service in Big Lake. So we're compelled to provide that yellow bus service for the residents of Big Lake. I know our sister board, their preference, their way of transporting junior high students is through ETS. So they don't provide yellow bus service for their students in EPSB. However, we do for many of our junior highs. So, I mean, that's in terms of how many, there are some of our junior highs that are straight on ETS, but many are on yellow.
And and you may not be able to answer this, but when parents phone and they're reluctant to send their kids on ETS, even though it's the fastest route, is there any stats? And I have to say, I haven't heard, or I don't remember hearing, of any incidences on ETS where children have not been safe. So I'm just wondering if I'm correct in saying that the ETS is safe. Like, I understand not wanting to send someone 12 or 13, but I was just wondering if we can reassure parents that there has been no incidences on ETS going to our schools.
Madam Chair, through Trustee Engel, you're right. I can't answer that. We can look into that, but we have no statistics or any factual.
No statistics, but I know that a lot of parents look for that.
Yeah.
Like I know how you feel, me asking that, and I shouldn't have, but that's what they're constantly asking me. So our ETS bus assured safety, and I have to say, well, our division doesn't provide that. But it obviously is a better choice, money-wise, right now than the yellow bus service is. And the last question I have is, we have the same fees as Edmonton Public?
Madam Chair, through Trustee Engel, correct.
Yes, and I think that it's a job for the board to lobby the government, because going up this much, I understand your predicament. I understand that the last place you go for money is to increase fees. However, 40% increase is a huge increase. And I think that we have to make that point, maybe more so in terms of 50 to 70. There was a 40% increase in bus fees for yellow bus service when we're talking to our MLAs, because that is a big hit. And I really appreciate the work you do. I know that your job isn't easy. I know that for 28 years of being a trustee, the number one call is transportation and transportation issues. And so I really don't envy what it must be like to come up with those routes. So in closing, I just want to personally thank you for the great service that you provide to our children and parents, and also for the great service you provide to trustees in explaining transportation, explaining routes, and giving us some choices that we can offer parents. And I said I had no more questions, but just one quick one. ETS is going out to Big Lake next year, isn't it? Another question that's kind of
Madam Chair, through Trustee Engel, I will defer that question to the Transportation Manager. I want to say yes, but I think it's the year after.
Thank you for the question. The plan is to implement services if budgetary, if it's allowed, I guess, with Edmonton, with the city of Edmonton, for 27-28.
for 27-28. Okay, thank you.
But then, Trustee Engel, you can always do your own advocacy with your city councillor. I'm confident you will do that.
Oh, he knows.
Yes. Thank you very much. Next in queue is Trustee Pellick. Go ahead, please. Oh, Trustee Pellick, I'll get you to put yourself back in again. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a little point of clarification, please. When you spoke about the recovery fees, you mentioned a percentage and I didn't quite catch it. If you could just let me know what that was, that would be great. And while you're doing that, I will ask my question. Some of the ETS specials that were going through some of our schools, they did cancellations. And I'm just wondering, with the fee difference between ETS and yellow bus, would we not be able to maybe for some of our schools get an ETS special, so that, it might be a little more beneficial cost-wise? Just wondering if that's something that would be able to be looked into.
Madam Chair, through Trustee Pellick, if we were, that's one of my incessant questions with Chris is, can we get the ETS special for that school? Unfortunately, they're in the same predicament we are in terms of, in order for them to provide that special, we have to have the ridership, they have to have the funds to run that route. So it's basically goes in, if I'm not mistaken, Chris, we meet with them once a year, we make our requests, and then they let us know if they can provide a school special. So for example, St. Carlo Acutis, we were able to negotiate school specials for St. Carlo Acutis. So we do that on a year-to-year basis.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Trustee Pellick. Next in queue is Trustee.
sorry.
My
And the
apologies.
number is?
Trustee, Manager Salerno, give me 1 second, please. If I could get you to put yourself back in queue. Okay, we're good to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
The amount was $3.5 million.
3.5 million, and what was the percentage on that?
We were looking at a 10% increase from our contracted carriers, and it would result in a $3.5 million deficit if services and fees remain the same.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, and so next in queue is Trustee Mutala. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say a big thank you for this report and all the information you provided. And I know we do get our money from the government, and they give us so much, and they provide grants, and I know the combination of everything, the enrollment, ridership, demand, and everything has increased. I just want to ask a question. Are we still able to provide some subsidized riding for people who need it, our families that need it, to some of our students and families? I think we had something in place, didn't we?
Madam Chair, through to Trustee Mutala, in terms of an official policy or a framework within transportation services themselves, I would say there's no official way to do it. However, I do know for a fact through our school fee schedules and families working with their principals at their school that there's often arrangements that can be made between the family and the principal and the school in order to get subsidized busing or a free bus pass for the month, that sort of thing. In other words, we do whatever we can to make sure that busing is not an impediment for students to get to school.
Okay, great. And another thing is they probably could go through the foundation as well if they needed
Correct.
to. And a big thank you to the ladies at the back and whoever's involved in the
Absolutely.
transportation department. Thank you. I haven't had too many complaints from JH Card recently. Thank you.
That's a good thing. And we appreciate all that you're doing, and we understand, like, it's either advocacy on our part, and we need to be doing that kind of work, because the money is here. So really, we could keep putting more money here, but then it comes out of, like you're going to put into this pot, but take it out of that pot. So it all depends on what it is that we're trying to do. So we do understand. We just feel like we're trying to make your job easier, but sometimes we make it harder. So please, thank you. We care about the kids, but we certainly respect the work that you're doing and the value that you bring to Edmonton Catholic, and of course to apprise the board as you always do. Thank you for the transparency and the assurance. That being said, this is not a motion, and I'll read the recommendation for the record. No, I'll proudly read the recommendation for the record, that the Board of Trustees acknowledges receipt of the 2026-2027 Student Transportation Fee Schedule for information purposes. Thank you once again to all of you, and of course for managing costs, improving efficiency, including strategic efforts, to adding shared routes and everything that you said here today. We are truly blessed to have you with Edmonton Catholic. Much appreciated. Thank you. And so we will now proceed to the first agenda item under number 3, presentation and review of accountability reports, 3.1, creating communities of belonging report, and we'll turn it over to you, Chief Superintendent Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Rooted in our Catholic social teachings, creating communities of belonging reflect our call to uphold the inherent dignity of every human person and to build communities grounded in justice and compassion. Today we have Superintendent Peterson and Manager Peterson, who will share more about the work undertaken this year.
Thank you, Chief Superintendent Anderson, Madam Chair, Trustees. Today, I am pleased to have Manager Claudia Peterson here to present the Embracing Diversity Report 2026, which highlights Year 1 implementation of the Creating Communities of Belonging strategic plan. This work is deeply grounded in our Catholic mission and vision and reflects how dignity, belonging, and justice are being lived across our schools and departments. Embracing diversity is not a separate initiative. It is a faith-filled expression of our Catholic education that is representative of the multi-departmental work being done in our division. Guided by Catholic social teachings, this report brings together survey data, student and family voice, and evidence of division-wide action to show how belonging is being cultivated from early learning through to graduation. The presentation today is intended to provide assurance that the Creating Communities of Belonging strategic plan is being implemented thoughtfully, faithfully, and in alignment with our Catholic identity, while also identifying areas where continued accompaniment and focus are needed as this work deepens. Manager Peterson will now highlight key findings from the report, beginning with our annual survey data, and then demonstrate how Catholic social teaching continues to guide and shape this work across the division.
Good afternoon, everyone. All right, so the Embracing Diversity Report 2026 highlights Year 1 implementation of the Creating Communities of Belonging strategic plan. Grounded in Catholic social teaching, the report brings together evidence of student and family experience, faith-aligned practice, and division-wide action. It demonstrates how belonging, dignity, and justice are fostered through relational learning environments, professional practice, and the shared responsibility across schools and departments. Our vision and mission call us to build Catholic communities where students learn, work, pray, and serve together. Embracing diversity is not separate from this calling. Rather, it's one way we live out our Catholic mission within the diverse realities of our schools and the communities each day. It is woven into the relationships we nurture, the decisions we make, and the ways we seek to uphold the dignity and belonging of every person. Catholic education is a shared vocation rooted in faith, service, and community, guided by the division's mission and vision, and grounded in Catholic social teaching. This journey calls everyone in our schools and departments to walk alongside one another and learning together, supporting one another, and responding collectively to the needs and experiences of the communities we serve. Grounded in this foundation, we now turn to the evidence of impact emerging from our collective work in embracing diversity and our shared faith, and continue to guide, inform, and shape these efforts across our division. To begin, I would like to highlight portions of the ECSD annual survey results that directly connect to the division goal of embracing diversity. Division Goal E1 states that students and staff recognize and celebrate the unique gifts and talents of every member of their learning and working community. As you can see from the results, feedback from parents and guardians reflects a strong awareness that Edmonton Catholic schools are communities where dignity, belonging, and care are intentionally fostered through everyday relationships, practices, and actions. Parent and guardian feedback indicates confidence that schools are environments where care, welcome, respect, and inclusion are clearly lived. This feedback also affirms that faith-filled relationships and actions within schools are both visible and meaningful to families. The experiences of students in grade 4 to 6 offer valuable insight into how belonging, care, and inclusion are nurtured during important developmental years. At this stage of identity, empathy, and moral growth, students report strong experiences of respect and connection with their schools, reflecting intentional efforts to build inclusive classroom communities where belonging is not only taught, but practiced daily through relationships, restorative practices, and shared learning experiences. Students in grade 4 to 6 report strong experiences of care, inclusion, and respect within their schools. These results suggest that classroom communities are being intentionally cultivated through inclusive relationship-centered practices that help students feel valued and connected. The data also indicates that students are not only hearing messages about belonging, but are actively practicing it each day through their interactions and relationships with peers. The perspectives of junior high students provide meaningful understanding of how belonging and inclusion are sustained through a significant period of personal and social development. As students navigate identity formation, peer relationships, and a growing sense of self, the data continues to reflect strong experience of care and inclusion while also highlighting the importance of ongoing accompaniment, mentorship, and intentional relational supports. Our grades 7 to 9 data continues to reflect strong student agreement that care, respect, and inclusion are expected parts of the school experience. At the same time, the natural variation within the results highlights the complexities students face as they navigate their personal identity development, peer relationships, and their sense of belonging during early adolescence. These findings reinforce the importance of sustained accompaniment and relational support at this stage, including identity-affirming spaces, student groups, and trusted adult mentorship. The data also helps identify where continued attention and intentional relationship building are most needed to support student well-being and belonging. Student experiences in senior high provide meaningful understanding of how inclusive and respectful learning environments support students during their transition beyond K-12 education. At this stage, students are increasingly developing their own voice, leadership, and sense of social responsibility, making these results an important reflection of how long-term formation is formed in our schools. In this year's survey results, high school students continue to report strong experiences of respect, care, and inclusion within their school communities. These results suggest that sustained investment in relationship-centered practices throughout a student's educational journey contributes to a development of empathy, responsibility, and solidarity. At the high school level, student voice, leadership opportunities, and meaningful participation play a significant role in shaping and maintaining inclusive school cultures where students actively contribute to the well-being of others. When viewed together, survey data across grade levels provides assurance that belonging is being intentionally cultivated throughout the division, from early learning through to graduation. As noted, the experiences reflected in our survey data are the result of intentional faith-guided practice. Our 7 Catholic social teachings are the foundation that shape how belonging is lived across classrooms, schools, and departments. The information that follows will highlight how Catholic social teaching serves as the foundation for the Creating Communities of Belonging strategic plan, shaping both how the division understands belonging and how it acts to support it. Through the implementation of Creating Communities of Belonging strategic plan, Catholic social teaching principles move beyond reflection into action, shaping relationship, learning environments, and systems of support that uphold dignity, foster participation, and affirm diversity. Together, this work reflects a faith-grounded response to the division's commitment to embracing diversity. Our work in creating communities of belonging begins with the belief that every child, staff member, and family is created in the image of God and possesses inherent dignity. Across the division, this belief is lived out by intentionally designing learning environments where students are known, valued, and are able to participate fully as themselves. The dignity of the human person is the heart of Creating Communities of Belonging Strategic Plan Priority 1, Belonging and Inclusion. This priority recognizes belonging as a faith-centered responsibility and seeks to ensure that every student is known, valued, and supported in fully living as the person God created them to be. This commitment is especially evident in division-wide supports for students with diverse learning, communication, cultural, and social-emotional needs. Evidence of impact under Priority 1 shows increased peer-based and relationship-centered supports alongside expanded use of neurodiverse, affirming, restorative, and strengths-based practices that emphasize emotional safety and inclusion, particularly for students facing barriers to traditional schooling. These supports affirm that belonging does not require students to change who they are. Rather, they strengthen student voice, participation, and peer relationships while reducing reliance on adult-mediated support. Through these daily practices, dignity is upheld not as an abstract principle, but as a lived responsibility reflected in relationships, learning design, and responses to differences. The call to family, community, and participation is reflected through Priority 1 and the division's cross-priority approach of relational stewardship and accompaniment. Creating Communities of Belonging is implemented through a site-based stewardship model that honors local context while emphasizing shared responsibility for belonging across schools and departments. This shared commitment is reflected in the way schools and central supports work together to remove barriers, strengthen relationships, and ensure families experience welcome care and connection from their very first interaction with our division. As an example, newcomer families experienced improved access, confidence, and connection with Edmonton Catholic Schools through a coordinated entry and settlement support system delivered by One World, One Center. Year-round registration, on-site English language proficiency assessments, orientation, and first language intercultural liaison support reduces barriers at entry and contribute to earlier engagement and stronger family-school partnerships. Participation and student voice were strengthened through consistent opportunities for relational engagement, leadership, and culturally responsive learning. Initiatives such as the Black Student Alliances, Life and GSA groups, and Be an Upstander program, student-led affinity and equity groups, multicultural learning opportunities, and family engagement, such as the September Parent Information Evening, create meaningful spaces for connection, leadership, and dialogue. Relational and restorative approaches contribute to strengthened trust among students, families, and staff. Ongoing accompaniment again and restorative conversations support shared responsibility for student well-being. Improved relational safety and more effective navigation of cultural transitions and concerns affecting belonging. Collectively, these actions increase participation, normalize diverse identities and experience, strengthen family-school relationships, and foster a greater belonging across learning environments. Creating communities of belonging reflects the Catholic understanding that human dignity carries both rights and responsibilities, calling each member of the community to act with justice, mercy, and respect. Grounded in this belief, Priority 2, building competence in diversity, supports students and staff in cultivating learning and working environments free from discrimination and bias, while forming communities rooted in right relationship. Division-wide professional learning strengthens staff capacity to recognize bias, engage meaningfully with lived experiences, and respond to racism and exclusion, and inclusion in faith-filled aligned ways. Examples of this work include the Waiwa Indigenous Pedagogies book study addressing anti-Indigenous racism, identity mapping, and multicultural learning sessions delivered in collaboration with Indigenous Learning Services, as well as community practices that support immigrant and internationally trained teachers. This commitment is further reflected in Priority 3, Education and Awareness, which integrates Catholic social teaching with equity and anti-racism across curriculum, faith formation, and professional learning. For example, religious education services support staff in responding to issues such as racism and discrimination through gospel-centered approaches grounded in mercy, solidarity, and care for the vulnerable, reinforcing that inclusive practice is integral to Catholic identity. These actions strengthen shared accountability and consistency across schools, forming students and staff as responsible members of the body of Christ who actively uphold dignity through just and compassionate action. The preferential option for the poor is expressed through intentional actions that prioritize students and communities whose dignity is most vulnerable and sometimes overlooked. As noted earlier, through Priority 1, Belonging and Inclusion, creating communities of belonging focuses relational support and accompaniment where culture, linguistic, learning, or systemic factors require more responsive care. This commitment is further strengthened through Priority 2, Building Competence in Diversity, where targeted professional learning supports educators to recognize bias, engage with lived experience, and respond to harm in ways that uphold dignity rather than reinforce exclusion. In particular, creating communities of belonging supports teachers and staff who work with student-led life GSA groups through guidance, professional learning, and ongoing consultation rooted in a Catholic context. This support helps navigate the purpose of these groups, church teaching, pastoral considerations, and effective practices for fostering safe and caring spaces for students. Communities of practice and coaching opportunities further build staff confidence and capacity, ensuring that students experiencing vulnerability are supported by caring adults who respond with empathy, consistency, and faith-aligned leadership. Together, these cross-priority actions demonstrate that equity within a Catholic framework is not equal treatment, but faithful responsiveness, directing attention, formation, and care where is most needed, so that every child of God is welcome, protected, and enabled to participate in community fully. The division honors the dignity of the work by recognizing staff as co-creators of a shared Catholic mission whose labor, voice, and professional judgment are essential to flourishing school communities and division departments. Creating communities of belonging advances this teaching through relational and collaborative approaches that value accompaniment, clarity, and shared responsibility rather than prescriptive compliance. This commitment is reflected through Priority 2 and Priority 3, where staff are supported not only in building knowledge and confidence, but also in working within structures that respect their time, expertise, and professional judgment. The Creating Communities of Belonging Advisory Group and Strategic Plan Implementation Committee intentionally center staff voice and lived experience, ensuring that division-level decisions are informed by those closest to the work and that responsibility for belonging is shared collectively across the system. Staff are further supported through clear, coordinated communication, accessible resources, including the use of a staff week at a glance, and collaboration with communications to provide shared language, planning supports, practical guidance connected to equity, diversity, inclusion, and Catholic identity. These approaches help reduce ambiguity, minimize duplication, and support staff in embedding belonging-focused practices within their existing roles and responsibilities. Together, these actions affirm that the dignity of work within a Catholic framework includes meaningful voice, supportive conditions, and systems that enable staff to thrive in their vocation. By recognizing educators and staff as trusted professionals and mission-driven contributors, the division reinforces that communities of belonging are sustained when the work of those serving students and families is respected, supported, and grounded in gospel values and Catholic social teaching. Solidarity is lived throughout our division's commitment to walking together, listening deeply, and sharing responsibility for belonging. Solidarity is reflected across all three priorities and through the division's intentional structures for accompaniment and shared leadership. Creating communities of belonging is guided through the Strategic Plan Implementation Committee and the Advisory Group, as mentioned earlier, which ensure lived experience and staff voice inform division-level action while supporting coordinated implementation. Creating communities of belonging is guided by two complementary structures, as mentioned, the Strategic Implementation Committee and Advisory Group, which, as we mentioned earlier, ensure lived experience informs decision-making and translated into coordinated division-level action. Solidarity is further strengthened through departmental collaboration, particularly with Indigenous Learning Services, where relationship was identified as the most meaningful outcome of this shared work. Student learning experiences grounded in restorative practice, dialogue, identity exploration, and social justice cultivate empathy, allyship, and shared moral responsibility. Through these intentional structures, belonging becomes a collective commitment rooted in our Catholic faith. Care for God's creation is reflected in holistic, land-based, and Indigenous-informed learning that honors the interconnectedness of people, land, and community. Care for God's creation is reflected through Priority 3, Education and Awareness, which intentionally integrates Catholic social teaching into curriculum, learning, and formation. This priority advances holistic education that recognizes the interconnectedness of people, land, and community, inviting students and staff to live in right relationship with creation as a sacred gift entrusted to our care. This commitment is evident through initiatives such as the Natural Connections Community of Practice, where educators deepen their capacity to integrate Indigenous perspectives and land-based learning across curriculum areas. Through collaboration with Indigenous Learning Services, teachers shifted from teaching in nature to teaching with the land, grounding instruction in humility, curiosity, and relationship while honoring Indigenous worldviews and stewardship teachings. Care for Creation is further reinforced in early learning studio environments where play-based, inquiry-driven learning fosters wonder, shared responsibility, and collaboration. Guided by holistic frameworks, these environments nurture children's relationships with one another, the natural world, and their communities, supporting early experiences of stewardship rooted in respect, care, and belonging. Together, these approaches reflect Catholic worldview in which care for God's creation is lived through education that attends to the whole person and the whole community, integrating faith, land, and learning to cultivate responsible, compassionate stewards of creation. Together, these lived examples demonstrate that creating communities of belonging is not an initiative added to a Catholic education. It is a faithful expression of it. Grounded in Catholic social teaching, Year 1 implementation focused on building relational, professional, and cultural foundations to honor dignity, justice, solidarity, and care for the vulnerable. This work continues as an ongoing journey of stewardship, accompaniment, and collective responsibility rooted in our gospel values. Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Peterson. And at this time, I'd like to turn it back to Chief Superintendent Anderson for the recommendation.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Manager Peterson, Superintendent Peterson, and the others that were listed. And there's many more in this collaborative work. We have Manager of Religious Education Services, Sandy Tellerico, Director of Student Services, Santos Saporito, and many others that are part of those departments. And I just want to acknowledge the work and commitment that you have to creating conditions that reflect truly a welcoming, caring, respectful, and safe learning environment for our students. And so our recommendation is that based on the evidence provided in the Creating Communities of Belonging report, the Board of Trustees determines that the following quality indicators have been met as per Board Policy 12, Appendix B, relative to the current evaluation period. Quality Indicator 1.1, 3.1, 10.1, and 10.2.
Thank you very much, Chief Superintendent Anderson. Superintendent Peterson, Manager Peterson. Peterson. Yeah, I had to make sure that the T and the D there, for today's presentation. And of course, to, as Chief Superintendent Anderson has already indicated, to Manager Tallarico and Director Saporito, and of course, all of their respective teams. It's unfortunate that we couldn't applaud them as well, but please share our commendations. I know that we have our consultant here, and I'm sure that she'll share commendations with them as well. But this comprehensive report speaks to Catholic teaching. And the great thing about this, for me anyway, is that it supports moving to the bishop's assurance model, which we're going to be talking about later this afternoon. But when I listened to this, I thought, how great is it that we ensure that our communities where everyone belongs, communities that are built on trust, respect, and a shared commitment to fostering communities that are rooted in Catholic social teaching. And so the fact that we are answering the call and upholding the dignity that every child is a child of God, again, is work that reflects a profound and shared commitment to fostering environments where our students, our staff feel valued, supported, and empowered to belong. We commend the intentional leadership and collaboration that is demonstrated across the division in advancing these strategic priorities and the collective efforts of all to nurture meaningful relationships within Catholic learning communities that create a lasting and meaningful impact. Thank you. This recommendation does require a motion, and I do see Vice Chair Tuchansky in queue, and I'll turn it to you, Vice Chair Tuchansky, to please make this motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that based on the evidence provided in the Creating Communities of Belonging report, the Board of Trustees determines that the following quality indicators that have been read have been met as per Board Policy 12, Appendix B, relative to the current evaluation period.
Thank you very much. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
I do indeed. Holy doodle. Like, that is amazing. We've heard it before, and to hear it again, you remember what you didn't hear the first time and what really resonates with us. This is truly extraordinary, and your team is unbelievable. And the work that you guys do to ensure that every student, family, and staff member feels genuinely seen, valued, and respected and welcomed is truly amazing. And of course, it's critical because we must continue to create environments where students feel safe, feel connected, and are able to participate fully in both their faith and in their learning environment at school. And we know life is hard enough. And if you don't have a community of belonging, that just makes it even more challenging. And again, I love the name, where we've come from to where we are now. It says so much, and it's so inclusive, and it is so kind. And I love it so much. And I do love the fact that it will be part of the Bishop's Assurance. It feels like it's hand in glove with that also. And also, thank you for helping your staff and our staff deepen the understanding around culturally responsive teaching, diversity, and identity. It's important that they also are flexible and fluid for their help with our students. And your work, what makes it especially meaningful is that it remains firmly rooted in Catholic social teachings. Our gospel calls us to uphold the dignity of every child, and you do it so well. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Tuchansky. Trustee Taber, you're next in queue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I also love this report. I think it reminds us belonging is not just a nice idea. It is what our faith asks us to do. I believe that every child, and we all believe every child, is made in the image of God, and how a child feels in our school matters. It's not a bonus, it's actually what the work is. And it's not separate from our Catholic mission. It is our Catholic mission to provide a Catholic education that inspires students to learn and prepares them to live fully and serve God and one another. And what I love about this report is that it shows real examples. It's not just ideas. You know, we see students sitting in circles, talking through hard things together. We see peer support groups where kids are learning to play with classmates who communicate differently. And then we talk about the One World, One Center, welcoming our newcomer families in September with childcare on site and supporting so many different languages. I think it's beautiful. And it's what belonging actually looks like. A child who does not speak words and gets to play with friends and laugh and have friendships. In a grade 3 classroom learning, treaty history from people who have lived it. And a studio where for a space in our schools where, you know, our kids are members of a classroom with ideas that people listen to, the other students are listening to. And I think those are the images that will stay with me. So to everyone who did this year and shaped this year, you've given us a strong foundation to build on, and I am so proud of the work that we do. And I look forward to sharing it with as many people as we can. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Tiber. Next in queue is Trustee Pellick. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm good? Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just wondering if you could maybe give me a couple of specific outcomes that you've seen in the student engagement and well-being as a result from your year one. And as you move ahead to year two, what sort of flags have you seen that you know that need to be worked on as you move on to year two?
Madam Chair, to Trustee Pellick, I am going to invite Manager Peterson to come up and provide some context to that question.
Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, to Trustee Pellick, you've asked a really big question because there's just so many examples of increased student engagement, if I understood your question correctly. So one of the things we've done quite a bit this year, in particular for this particular year one of our implementation, is we moved quite a bit of our work into classrooms versus the last few years being more of the learning for staff in particular to prepare for the work that we're doing in schools. And so one of the things that we've been undertaking quite a bit is moving our consultants into supporting classroom teachers and then staff PD. But the big one in terms of student engagement, to answer your question, is because of that, we've been doing restorative practices and proactive circles that also align with the work that we do when it comes to diversity and inclusion. So having a circle for situations where a classroom might be having difficulty with language, for example, and exclusionary language. And so these kids sit within a circle and are able to hear each other and understand how each one feels in relation to this particular situation. And one of the things that the teachers have told us, both in dealing with those types of things when they are asking us to come in to support, but also just to build, they use them as well to build just community in general, is we're hearing many teachers asking us to come back, and they're actually very interested in learning the work themselves so they can support their students independent of our department, which is ultimately what we want, is to eventually hopefully never exist. Nobody will need us because they're going to be able to do the work. So that's probably one of the biggest ones, is students are asking teachers to continue doing that type of relational work like circles in their classrooms. That's the number one thing that we hear more often, is students are wanting it after they've experienced it.
Thank you. And if I may, Madam Chair, I have another question. And so what strategies are in place to ensure the communication and diversity, equity, and inclusion remains accessible, respectful, and consistent across all of our schools, particularly with families that are new to Canada and may not quite grasp what this is all involving and the outcomes with, like, maybe their limited English language and that sort of thing. So how are we communicating this sort of thing to our newer Canadians?
Madam Chair, to Trustee Pellick, that's an amazing question. That it actually is primarily the work undertaken by One World, One Centre through their intercultural liaison workers. They are often at schools supporting the families who request their support, or if the schools request the support. And so they are also available to do any kind of PD if they need to for parent evenings, for example, where they're able to explore a little bit more what it is to come into Edmonton Catholic schools, but also to come into a Canadian Alberta, Edmonton school, and what that would look like for them and their family. And more importantly, the most interesting part of how they do this support is they also ensure the importance of how they can keep their cultural identity alongside coming into a new community, a Canadian community, which is really the most important part, because what we're asking them to do is to come in and change entirely perhaps the way that they function as a family coming into a Canadian context. And the fact that they hear very openly that keeping their identity, cultural identity, is very important, actually helps them navigate sometimes those questions they may have.
And my last question, Madam Chair. And I'm just also wondering, how are we communicating all of this to our teachers that may not grasp the full importance of it? Like, I know, some people are very culturally aware and some maybe not so much. So I'm just wondering, communication-wise to the division of a whole, how is that portion being implemented? And is there like extra PD, or what sort of things are available?
We actually offer quite a bit. Like, one of the things that we do, Human Resources does is they, as part of the onboarding work, they do, all staff are required to do six modules for equity, diversity, inclusion, and anti-racism as just a start. There are also 12 boosters available that have been developed over the last few years for teachers who are interested in expanding, or any support staff who are interested in expanding their knowledge in that area. We also do messaging throughout the year in our staff week at a glance, to just kind of keep those things front and just at the top of everyone's mind. And then we provide supports through that awareness by providing materials or further PD opportunities for staff to enrich their learning. And then throughout the school, we have more structured, through the school year, we offer structured PD. And we also support schools by going in to do staff PD for more intentional work that's more driven by specific needs of the school.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Trustee Pellick. Next in queue is Trustee Ingle. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you for the report. I think that what gets me excited is when you see creating communities of belonging in action. And one example is visiting junior high in my ward, H.E. Burial. They have, when a new student comes from, let's say, the Ukraine, and they're registered, when they come their first day to the office, the principal has a group from that community come and greet them in their own language, come and talk to them, and come and tell them about the community of belonging. That's what excites me. I mean, we talk about it, we do the boosters, but when you see that just shows you faith in action. It truly does. And it's something they do for all newcomers. And that school, I think if you take a look, their population is basically newcomers. The other thing, when you look at creating communities of belonging, I believe that what you celebrate is what you value. And we just had Maria speak to us about creating an environment where acts of kindness are acknowledged and celebrated. So I think those things, as they grasp or as they take a hold on a community, make belonging just happen. And so I really want to commend you for your work, and I really want to commend Director Tellerico for the wonderful support she gives you and the wonderful support she gives the board when we're looking for answers, when we see, a crossroads between our faith and belonging. I mean, she gives us guidance that is exceptional. So I want to thank her as well for her role in this. And of course, Claudia and Superintendent Peterson. It's delightful, but I've been noticing it when I come into the schools that it's a center. So when I look at how do I see what you're doing in action, I see it in action when I go into the schools. It's stuff that maybe happened on a small scale all the time, but it's happening on a purposeful scale, it's happening on a celebratory scale, and it's being reinforced. And so thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Trustee Ingle. Next in queue is Trustee Mutala. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And one point, thank you, Trustee Ingle for bringing that up, because I really appreciate this report because it shows that we are always welcoming all of our students in a care and safe environment. And one thing that comes to my mind is we just had our Honoring Spirit Braided Journeys, our Honoring Spirit Indigenous grad. And when we were there, when we started 9 years ago, we had 104 students graduate. This year we had 204. And it's because we have that welcoming Braided Journeys program in our schools that help all of our students, not just our Indigenous students, but all of our students as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Mutala. And so seeing no one else in queue, thank you once again for fostering safe and equitable environments where students and staff can thrive in faith-filled communities where belonging is an expectation. Thank you. And I'll turn it back to you, Vice Chair Tuchansky, should you wish to close your motion before calling the vote.
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, and we will proceed to call the vote. Thank you. As all trustees have voted and are in favor, we'll note for the record the motion is carried. Thank you once again. Next on the agenda is 3.2, Leadership Formation and System Leadership Development in ECSD, and we'll turn it back over to you, Chief Superintendent Anderson.
Thank you very much. We are proud of the division's emphasis on the formation and development of school and system leaders. And to share some of the work we do to strengthen leadership capacity is Superintendent Fian and Division Principals Chris Caccini, Heidi Moss, and Leanna Perry. And so over to you, Superintendent Fian, to begin.
Thank you very much, Chief Superintendent Anderson, Madam Chair, trustees. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Edmonton Catholic Schools has long placed a strong and intentional emphasis on the formation and development of its leaders. This commitment reflects our belief that leaders in Catholic education is not simply about roles and competencies, but about vocation, service, and responsibility to steward both educational excellence and Catholic identity in increasingly complex contexts. Leadership Services supports this priority through a comprehensive, faith-centered approach to leadership recruitment, development, orientation, and promotion. Our work is grounded in Catholic identity, aligned with Alberta Education's leadership quality standards, and responsive to the lived realities of school-based leaders. Today's presentation provides an overview of the structures, programs, and system-level supports that guide leadership formation and system leadership development here within Edmonton Catholic Schools. It highlights how Leadership Services, in collaboration with senior administration and departmental teams, is working to ensure a coherent and integrated approach to leadership development that supports organizational priorities, strengthens system leadership capacity, and contributes to ongoing vitality of our Catholic learning communities. I would like to conclude by expressing our sincere appreciation for the work of the Leadership Services team, particularly those joining me here today. Division Principal Chris Caccini, Division Principal Heidi Moss, and Division Principal Leanna Perry, along with Division Principals Joe Gully and Peter Mears, are relentless in their dedication to forming faithful, reflective, and mission-driven leaders across our division. Let's begin with an overview. Leadership Services recruitment, development, orientation, and promotion within Edmonton Catholic Schools reflects a sustained commitment to forming leaders who are deeply rooted in our mission and Catholic identity and who are prepared to lead with integrity, clarity, compassion, and confidence. Through intentional professional learning, mentorship, transition supports, and faith-centered formation, leaders are accompanied as they navigate increasingly complex situations while remaining grounded in their values, vocation, and service, serving our inspiring leaders through our Call to Lead, leadership training, and principal training programs. All the way through to our support of the full cohort of assistant principals and principals through various leadership meetings across all stages of leadership journey. We seek to accompany leaders through professional learning, mentorship, reflective practice, and intentional faith formation that strengthens both individual capacity and collective responsibility. So why is all of this necessary? Well, in the last 5 years, 116 new assistant principals have been placed in schools, with another 12 joining the assistant principal group this year. or next year. And in the last 5 years, 62 new principals have been placed in schools, with another 7 joining the principalship next year. The scope and pace of change across the division has increased the demand for leadership support and for professional learning, placing a greater emphasis on mentorship and coaching across all departments within Edmonton Catholic Schools, and particularly within leadership services. This context presents a significant opportunity to intentionally shape the future of the division through training and development opportunities for our leaders. These programs play a vital role in building leadership capacity during a demanding period for succession management, while also ensuring school-based administrators are well-formed Catholic educational leaders who are prepared to lead with confidence, faith, and purpose.
Leadership Services has introduced a new delivery model for the 2025-2026 school year. The updated model reflects a stronger and more collaborative approach to leadership development across the division. Previously, mentorship and support for prospective leaders, new assistant principals, and new principals were primarily coordinated by one individual. Under the new model, this responsibility is now shared among 3 division principals. Additional support is also provided through collaboration with other division principals, managers, consultants, and superintendents. This team-based approach increases mentorship capacity, consistency of support, and opportunities for shared expertise. A key feature of the model is intentional relationship building. Division principals connect directly with each principal and first-year assistant principal through school visits and ongoing engagement. These connections are designed to foster trust, strengthen understanding, and provide meaningful, ongoing support for school leaders. The visits have proven to be quite important in developing more authentic and trusting relationships with our school leaders. Catholic identity, of course, is intentionally embedded throughout the model. Catholicity is integrated into all aspects of leadership development, mentorship, and professional learning. Overall, the new delivery model provides a more comprehensive, collaborative, and values-driven framework to support leadership growth across the division.
The Development Programs and Pathways Initiative is designed to intentionally prepare future school-based leaders by supporting educators who are considering principal and assistant principal roles. Through this pathway, participants are guided to step into leadership with confidence and clarity, developing the foundational capacity required for effective school leadership. The program focuses on building essential leadership knowledge, skills, and dispositions aligned with both Alberta Leadership Quality Standards and the Catholic Leadership Quality Standards. Leadership development is grounded in a strong faith-centered foundation, emphasizing core Catholic values such as integrity, service, and commitment to the common good. In doing so, leadership is not viewed simply as a role, but as a vocation rooted in gospel values and a deep sense of mission. Participants engage in a learning experience that intentionally blends theory and practice. Structured learning sessions are complemented by reflection, dialogue, and meaningful application in real-world contexts. The approach ensures that leadership learning is both practical and deeply reflective. A strong emphasis is placed on mission-driven leadership, encouraging participants to make decisions that are responsive to the needs of their communities while remaining grounded in faith. The program also prioritizes practical readiness. Participants engage in targeted learning with departmental leaders and develop a school entry plan to support a successful transition into leadership roles. Experiential learning is embedded through the Roots and Wings Leadership Project, which invites participants to balance stability with growth by applying their learning within their own school context. Mentorship is a central component of the program, offering ongoing guidance, feedback, and support from experienced leaders. This, combined with strong focus on reflective practice, fosters the development of leaders who are self-aware, purposeful, and committed to continuous growth. Ultimately, the program supports a shift in mindset from viewing leadership as a positional to embracing it as a relational, values-based, and grounded in service.
This year, Leadership Services, in partnership with Human Resources, launched a new leadership engagement event called Step Forward, the Call to Lead. The purpose of the event was to inspire, engage, and recruit future leaders from across the division. A key focus was creating opportunities for mentorship, relationship building, and faith-centered leadership development. We recognize that many educators feel called to leadership but may hesitate for a variety of reasons: unsure about leaving the classroom, increased workload, and competing demands in their personal lives. This event was designed to create a welcoming and supportive environment where staff could explore leadership pathways, ask questions, and better understand what leadership looks like within Catholic education. Participants heard from a panel of division leaders, including an instructional coach, consultant, assistant principal, manager, and superintendent, who shared honest reflections on their personal leadership journeys, challenges they had faced, and the personal and professional growth they have experienced. Questions for the panel were collected in advance from the participants to ensure the discussion addressed the interests and concerns of those in attendance. This approach reflected the division's commitment to collaboration and shared learning through the experiences of multiple leaders. Attendees also participated in 2 rounds of breakout sessions on topics such as navigating the leadership journey, understanding the application and selection process, supporting beginning leaders, transitioning into the principalship role, and the role of women in leadership. Catholicity was woven throughout the event. The message reinforced that leadership in Edmonton Catholic schools is both professional and faith-filled, that it is rooted in service, grounded in community, and focused on ongoing growth. Overall, Step Forward, the Call to Lead, demonstrated the division's commitment to developing future leaders and fostering a strong, supportive leadership culture across the system.
The first year's program provides a structured and intentional framework to support first, second, and third year principals and assistant principals as they navigate the early stages of their leadership journey. Through a series of targeted sessions, the program focuses on building the critical leadership skills required for success in the role. Each session is closely aligned with the Alberta LQS and the Catholic LQS, with deliberate focus on deepening understanding of specific leadership indicators. Learning is directly connected to day-to-day realities of school leadership, ensuring that the program remains practical and responsive to the challenges new administrators face. In this way, the program serves as a guide that walks alongside leaders as they grow into their roles. Faith-centered leadership remains at the heart of the program, reinforcing the importance of service, integrity, and ethical decision-making grounded in Catholic values. Participants engage in ongoing reflection through professional reading, dialogue, and collaborative inquiry, allowing them to deepen both their leadership practice and their understanding of self. Mentorship from experienced principals is embedded throughout the program, providing consistent support and opportunities for feedback. The structure is also intentionally flexible and responsive, allowing the program to adapt to the emerging needs of participants. System-wide collaboration is encouraged, connecting principals with key departments and resources to support their work. Opportunities such as the Blueprints Retreat further enhance the learning experience, offering additional formation, networking, and connection with system and faith leaders. Collectively, the programs aim to develop confident, reflective, and effective Catholic school leaders who are grounded in values and equipped to lead with purpose. Me again. The transition to principalship is supported through a 2-day orientation designed to ensure a thoughtful and successful entry into the role. This process recognizes the significance of the transition and seeks to foster both confidence and a strong sense of belonging among newly appointed principals. The first day of the orientation focuses on establishing a strong foundation for leadership. It encourages a reflective and intentional transition process that honors the strengths of each new principal while recognizing the trust placed in them. Participants engage in learning focused on key leadership skills and decision-making while also being encouraged to seek mentorship, build support networks, and learn from the experiences of others. Time is dedicated to building relationships within the cohort and deepening understanding of the school's culture and community, reinforcing the importance of continuity, respect, and thoughtful leadership. The second day emphasizes the relational and collegial nature of the principalship. It includes a transition opportunity with the outgoing principal, highlighting the importance of collaboration and shared understanding in supporting school continuity. This is followed by the introduction of an 8-week entry plan, which provides clear guidance for the initial phase of the role. The plan focuses on identifying key priorities or big rocks and emphasizes the importance of relationship building, learning, and establishing a strong foundation for effective leadership early in the transition.
The Archbishop Joseph McNeil Leadership Academy is the division's cornerstone annual professional learning event for principals and senior leaders. It is a unique experience for our division's leadership, as it is a true celebration of what can be achieved with dedicated space and time, all while in communion with each other. A true investment in leadership capacity and organizational effectiveness. Rooted in Archbishop McNeil's legacy, the 2-day in-person academy blended leadership development with faith formation through liturgies, prayer, reflection, and a full Eucharistic Mass. The 2026 Academy featured Dr. Santiago Rincon Gallardo, who focused on leadership practices that strengthen instructional quality, coherence, and deep learning. Leaders explored and examined several key areas, including what optimal teaching and learning looks like in practice, the division's theory of action, and connected system priorities to school-level leadership through dialogue, reflection, and examples from 2 of our very own Edmonton Catholic schools. Sessions led by division leaders further reinforced implementation and alignment with system priorities. The Leadership Academy weaves together 3 key elements. By grounding all learning in the division's core priorities, the Academy ensures leaders are working from a shared vision and common direction. That strategic clarity is strengthened through the relational dimension of the Academy. Leaders gather in community building and trust, and this allows them to experience genuine collegiality and joy, deepening collaboration and collective purpose. Layered throughout is a faith-filled experience that nourishes leaders personally and spiritually through prayer, reflection, and shared worship. Together, these 3 elements create a leadership formation environment where professional alignment, relational connection, and spiritual grounding reinforce one another, shaping leaders who are united in mission, strengthened in community, and rooted in their Catholic vocation. Understanding the power of mentorship, this year we sought to highlight and strengthen the mentor's role in each of their differing capacities. This year's focus has been on mentorship and the power of story, emphasizing the mentor's role in fostering growth, connection, and professional renewal. Our mentors were invited to support facilitators and increase their effectiveness in a number of ways, including a shared understanding of the mentor role. Before sessions began, mentors and facilitators explored together different ways to support unique professional journeys, encourage continuous improvement, and cultivate joy, laughter, and purpose in daily practice. Reconnecting to their purpose, sessions reinforced the importance of rediscovering the deeper meaning of educational work and sustaining long-term passion for the profession. Clear mentorship expectations. Mentors were positioned as facilitators of learning and dialogue, reflective practitioners, and experienced guides who create psychologically safe environments. And intentional engagement. Mentors were asked to listen deeply, lead structured discussions, support diverse perspectives, and offer empathetic, constructive feedback while maintaining professionalism and confidentiality. Storytelling as a leadership practice. Division principals modeled storytelling by sharing their leadership journeys, encouraging mentors to do the same to build relational trust and deepen reflection on leadership identity and purpose. The intent of this enhanced mentorship vision had two clear purposes: to empower those chosen to mentor by honoring their expertise and allowing them to demonstrate the valuable learning that their experience can bring. And number two, to strengthen the authenticity of the mentor-mentee relationship in the ultimate pursuit of fostering confident and inspired future leaders for the succession planning of the division.
Leadership Services is dedicated to the recruitment, retention, and professional development of our leaders. Taken together, the programs and structures outlined in this presentation represent a coherent and integrated approach to leadership development. This approach strengthens our individual leaders, builds collective capacity across the system, and supports organizational effectiveness in service of students, families, and our whole communities. Through the continued investment in faith-filled leadership formation, Edmonton Catholic Schools is intentionally nurturing leaders who contribute meaningfully to the educational excellence, foster spiritually vibrant school communities, and sustain the distinctive mission of Catholic education now and well into the future. And now I would like to turn it back over to our Chief Superintendent Anderson.
Thank you very much to the leadership services team for your demonstrating how responsive you are and supportive to our school-based administration on so many different levels. And so our recommendation is that based on the evidence provided in the Leadership Formation and System Leadership Development and ECSD update, the Board of Trustees determines that the following quality indicators have been met as per Board Policy 12 Appendix B relative to the current evaluation period. Quality Indicator 1.1, 1.2, 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, and 5.4.
Okay, this is another one of those wow reports. Thank you. Thank you so much, Chief Superintendent Anderson, Superintendent Fian, Division Principals Cicchini, Mass, and Perry, for this inspiring and impactful report presented so fittingly just days after our retirement gala. This excellent presentation and report provides reassurance, confidence, and a genuine sense of relief that as valued leaders retire, retirees who carry deep, I'm going to call it institutional knowledge, expertise, wisdom, and longstanding community relationships, Edmonton Catholic Schools continues to, and I believe you used the word intentionally, invest in building leadership capacity by forming and supporting the next generation of faith-filled leaders who make a difference. This report confirms that strong system-level supports are in existence. They're in place to ensure thoughtful, sustainable succession, and that we do have those leaders in place who are going to take over when our principals retire and assistant principals. Kudos to the team for all of the intentional investment, and I see that you've gone from 1 to 3. Good on you. And again, this mission-driven, the mission leaders, what do we call it? Mission-driven system leaders that you've created across the division ensures that we're going to be in good hands for many years to come. So that being said, this recommendation does require a motion, and I do see Trustee Mutala first in queue. So I'm going to turn it over to you first. Trustee Mutala, if you could please make this motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that based on the evidence provided in the Leadership Formation and System Leadership Development in ECSD update, the Board of Trustees determines the following quality indicators have been met as per Board Policy 12, Appendix B, relative to current evaluation period. Quality indicators 1.1, 1.2, 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, and 5.4.
Thank you very much, Trustee Mutala. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
I do. I just want to say a big thank you to Chief Superintendent Anderson, Superintendent Fian, and the division principal team. This detailed and information report and update on the formation and development of our school and system leaders is much appreciated. I am grateful that our leadership formation is not simply a skill development, but a vocational formation rooted in our mission, faith, and service. Thank you for providing all the wonderful professional learning opportunities and support, which combine faith-based formation, reflective practice, strong mentorship, and practical leadership development to help support all our leaders at every stage of their journey. I am very appreciative of all that you do to help form our future leaders. And like Sandra said, we know that some will retire, and we need to have always some in place to take over. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you very much, Trustee Mutala. And at this time, I'll open queue for any questions and/or comments. And I do recognize Trustee Fiorello first in queue. I'll turn it over to you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So thank you so much for the report. I appreciate the complexity and the vast approach that this takes over many years and many areas. And I do have some specific questions, though, about some of those hard skills and those job-specific things. I'm just curious, where does, in all of this work, things like budgeting and financial planning and maybe like working effectively with your parent council, what they can do for you and how to manage that, is that through the mentorship? Is that through the two-day orientation? Like, where does that fall into their training opportunities?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, through to Trustee Fiorello. That's part of both the pre-work and post-work of somebody's appointment to a principalship. And so in our leadership training program, before someone engages in even the assistant principalship, they get more of a broad general understanding of some of those tasks that they're going to be engaging into, but it really digs into some of the skills and capacities and some of the understandings that is leadership. But when we move from an assistant principal that's taking the principal training program, then we start to get a little bit more in-depth knowledge that would be talking a little bit about budget, for instance, when they would come in. This is something that we're going to explore, but we try to keep it at a level that is going to be an introductory level so people can have a good start into the career. Now, once they get appointed into the principalship, that's where we really do get some boots on the ground, and Division Principal Chris Cicchini goes and he does set up a variety of presentations that come in from other division principals. For instance, Division Principal Peter Mears comes in and then talks budget. They get individual budget sessions that's catered to our first and second year principals, that's separate from the principals that have done it for a number of years, so that we have time and capacity for one-to-one support on some of those more nuanced issues. And then in addition to that, with the presentations that come in, there are those kind of as needed when they come up, and this is part of our leadership discussions that we have, so we can make sure that we're being responsive within the year in the mentorship programs as well, and then connecting them for mentorships. It also goes to working with parent councils as well. And so some of our parent councils again, they come with a different history of how they've operated. And so having a one-size-fits-all approach to that doesn't always support a delivery and a conversation on parent councils and the different dynamics of them. There could be schools with 3 or 2 very hardworking parents that are finding the time to come out. And I've been to other parent councils that there are 40 people that have come in, and they're now using tables and sitting different places for it. And so what we do is I am present at parent councils, particularly for our second year principals, in order to support and give feedback on that. But the training does start before in terms of a conversation. What is a parent council? What is their role? How do we engage? And then it's also an intentional dialogue throughout the mentorship program as well.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And you know, just because this is a piggyback, I'm just going to applaud Trustee Fiorello, because the parent council piece, she's right. You know, there are waters that sometimes need to be navigated, especially when you have a brand new assistant principal, I'm going to say, and then you have a brand new council and brand new chair who feel that their role, with good intentions, is to make decisions on behalf of the school, right? And so we have a grade 3 class, and maybe we should be splitting that class, and, you know, decisions such as that. So it's great to hear that they have the support, and they can certainly, and I mean, while I'm fully aware of that, it is a valid question. So I really appreciate it being asked in public. Thank you. And so Trustee Pellick, you're next in queue. Go ahead, please. Yeah, go ahead.
I think I keep cutting myself off. So this is a great report. Thank you so much. And it really highlights a strong emphasis on the mentorship and the faith-centered leadership formation. And so I'm just wondering, how is Leadership Services measuring the long-term impact of these programs that you have on our principals and the effectiveness of it? And how does that trickle down to the school staff? So when, you know, the principal gets all of this, how do they move that down to their staff?
Thank you very much for that question. And Madam Chair, through to Trustee Pellick, some of the feedback that we get that helps gauge the effectiveness of the programs and helps inform subsequent years is part of the principal evaluation process, where there is feedback that's gained from multiple perspectives inside of the school, both through surveys, anonymous surveys, attendance at parent council meetings, staff meeting, and again, on-site visits that take place multiple times a year. And so we do have both the qualitative understanding that comes from the survey and analysis of their schools through the annual reports and the systems excellence reports that we go through, and the qualitative that comes from the anecdotals that we're gathering from staff and parents inside of the community. We take all of that information and we have individual meetings and conversations, especially with our newer administrators as they come through, so that we can identify areas of growth and areas of development in the school early. So we can make sure that we are tailoring both the mentorship supports that they are getting, the conversation that's happening throughout the dialogue that's happening in those meetings, as well as taking a look at our leadership programs. For instance, we are in the middle right now of our year in review as a leadership services team, and saying, what did we deliver this year? Let's take a look at what we've been working on and some areas of focus, so that we can continue to make sure that we are keeping current with the needs of our administrators.
Thank you very much for that detailed answer, because it actually covered my follow-up question. So I think I'm good with that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Trustee Pellick. Next in queue is Trustee Engel. Go ahead, please.
Thanks for a great report. Wow, you guys do a lot. Creating leadership isn't necessarily easy. I'm looking at Quality Indicator 5.1. Develops and effectively implements quality recruitment. We've gone through that. Orientation, we've gone through that, some of self-development. I was wondering about disciplinary evaluation and supervisory process. I looked for it when I read it and I listened, and I didn't hear a lot. And I'm just wondering how you work or weave that in. I don't know, is that a fair question, or I just didn't quite catch that, and it's QI.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through to Trustee Ingle. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to speak to that. When it comes into disciplinary evaluation and supervisory process, in each of our sessions for both of our assistant principals and principals, we do have big rock sessions that we call, saying, so what's going on in the school? And a lot of it comes around how to better support teachers in instructional leadership practices. And it also comes through our discussions in leadership quality standards when we're addressing leading a learning community, which one of the primary indicators of that is setting a high standard for expectation. And so often direct supervision and evaluation of staff is a common discussion that takes place on not just this time of the school year, but almost on a monthly basis. How do we support these individuals with both the pop-ins, what is the triangulated feedback we're able to get them, and then making sure that we are refining the leadership practices inside of our schools so that they are following proper processes when it comes to evaluation and supervision when they're inside of the classrooms. That's also something that Division Principal Heidi Moss spoke to when she was talking about the model of leadership services as a push-in model, as we have individuals not just waiting for the phone call to come in, but setting regularly scheduled meetings at the schools so that we can talk about the individual school context, which often does involve some of those circumstances that principals newer in their career are really finding a little bit more tricky to navigate. And we talk about clarity is kindness and critical conversations in those as well. And when it comes to disciplinary conversations, that's something that's presented when we start talking about our student codes of conduct and publishing of the student codes of conduct, clarity for the families and school communities, and also does arise organically when we have different things that come through leadership services in terms of some contacts from the community so that we can help guide, shape the decisions that are happening at the school.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much, Trustee Ingle. So, as I was listening to all of this, and I'm looking at all of you, and I'm thinking, like, you're so great. Hypothetical. This doesn't happen at Edmonton Catholic because we're perfect. But let's just pretend. First year principal goes home the end of the day. Difficult parent council. Difficult. Something going, like 5 parents upset. Couple of staff members, just kind of want to do their own thing. Who do they call at the end of the day? Do they need to wait until the next day to contact your department, or is there a 911 that they can call? I'm just wondering. They're beating themselves up. So what do they do? I know it's not Ghostbusters, but the 911 might happen. I'm just wondering. I think I know the answer, but because things have changed now, what is happening?
Madam Chair, we are a 24/7 service.
Yeah, thank you.
There has been a time where I've been in the grocery store with a frozen turkey under one arm and then a basket on the other, gathering things for Thanksgiving, and on the phone with an individual that just needed a moment. The answer in leadership services to do you have a moment is of course.
Of course. Okay. That, and that's good to hear. I'm just so relieved because I can only imagine going home at the end of the day saying, why did I do this? But knowing that they have that 24/7 opportunity speaks volumes. And this is why it doesn't happen at Edmonton Catholic. So thank you very much for that confirmation. So there is no one else in queue, and I will turn it back to you, Trustee Mutala, should you wish to close your motion.
No, I'm great. Thank you.
Thank you. And so at this time, we will call the vote. Thank you very much. As all trustees have voted and are in favor, we'll note for the record that the motion is carried. Thank you very much to Leadership Services. Your sustained commitment to ensuring we have that faith-filled, mission-driven leaders grounded in Catholic identity and all of the rest of that stuff is working excellent. And that's why we don't have problems. Thank you very much. So next, we will move on to 3.3, Supporting Schools and Addressing Classroom Complexity Report. And back over to you, Chief Superintendent Anderson. You must be so proud.
Very.
Yeah, okay.
It gets better and better. So we have with us today Superintendent Peterson and Director Antonella Malella, who remain committed to creating learning environments where all students belong, are supported, and can engage meaningfully in learning. And so today they are here to share an update on how our division continues to respond to increasing classroom complexity while remaining committed to creating those conditions of belonging and support. Over to you.
Thank you, Chief Superintendent Anderson, Madam Chair, and Trustees. Today, Director Malala will be sharing an overview of how Edmonton Catholic Schools is intentionally supporting schools as classroom complexity continues to grow across our system. Across Alberta, we are seeing sustained increase in diverse student needs: academic, social, emotional, cultural, and behavioral. These layers of complexity are not isolated to individual classrooms or schools. They are present across the system and shape the daily realities of teaching and learning. The purpose of today's presentation is to outline how the division is responding in a deliberate, coordinated way. Rather than placing the responsibility on individual classrooms or educators to manage complexity in isolation, our division has focused on strengthening the broader conditions that support learning through aligned services, shared responsibility, and system coherence. This work is grounded in our Catholic faith and our commitment to the dignity of every child. By responding proactively and collaboratively, we are creating classrooms where students feel a sense of belonging, educators are supported, and learning can flourish. Director Malala will walk you through how this system approach works in practice and how it supports stability, equity, and sustainable outcomes across our schools.
Have to lower it. You're a lot taller than me. Good afternoon. The presentation today, just a minute. Here we go. The presentation today will outline the conditions, the structures, and collaborative practices that support optimal learning conditions across all schools and that have been put in place to address classroom complexities. Across Edmonton Catholic Schools, we are seeing continued growth in diverse student needs, including academic, social, emotional, and cultural factors. These layers of complexity are no longer isolated, but are present across many classrooms and require a cohesive and coordinated response. To address this, Learning Services has intentionally moved toward a system-wide approach. Rather than relying on individual classrooms to respond independently, we are aligning our supports across schools and services to ensure greater consistency and access. A key focus of our work is system coordination and alignment. This means that classroom practices, school-based supports, and division services are working together in a very connected way. This work has also been grounded in our faith-based understanding of the whole child. In Edmonton Catholic Schools, we are called to support not only academic success, but also the social, emotional, and spiritual well-being of each of our students. This approach reinforces the importance of belonging, dignity, and relationships as foundational to learning. Go back one. Okay. I had problems with this last time. Classroom complexity continues to increase in educational environments due to a convergence of factors, including diverse learning profiles, rising mental health needs, and growing cultural and linguistic diversity. These evolving conditions place increased demand on educators, requiring them to respond to a broader range of student needs within their classroom. Understanding this complexity is essential to ensuring that system-level decisions are aligned with the realities experienced in schools. Learning Services has recognized that without coordinated supports, complexity can lead to gaps in student engagement, increased stress for our educators, and inconsistency in outcomes across classrooms. Addressing these challenges has required more than individual teacher effort. It It is a structured and comprehensive response that integrates our resources, our expertise, and shared practices. By focusing on classroom conditions rather than those isolated interventions, we are all working to create environments that support all of our learners regardless of their starting point. This approach also prioritizes equitable access to learning and ensures that no student is left behind due to systemic limitations. Ultimately, understanding and responding to classroom complexity is foundational and a step in achieving strong student outcomes, enhancing teacher effectiveness, and maintaining system-wide excellence. This slide here examines how the Learning Services has addressed these challenges strategically and sustainably. Our work in addressing classroom complexity is grounded in our Catholic faith, recognizing each student as a sacred gift. We are called to respond with compassion, with dignity and care, ensuring that every learner is supported to thrive. Through this commitment, we continue to build inclusive communities where all are welcomed and valued. Edmonton Catholic Schools is committed to ensuring that every student experiences a sense of belonging, support, and success within the learning environment. This commitment is rooted in the belief that all students have inherent dignity and deserve equitable opportunities to learn and thrive. Rather than placing responsibility on individual educators alone, the division has adopted a shared responsibility model that distributes accountability across all of our classrooms, our school support staff, and our MDT supports. This approach recognizes that addressing classroom complexity requires collaboration and coordinated efforts from all levels of the system. Teachers, administrators, specialized staff, and division leaders work together to build environments that respond effectively to diverse student needs. This collective responsibility ensures that supports are not fragmented, but integrated into a cohesive system that enhances consistency and effectiveness. Additionally, this commitment aligns with the division's Catholic values, emphasizing care, empathy, and holistic well-being. By focusing on shared responsibility, the division is strengthening its capacity to respond proactively and sustainably to ongoing challenges. The division's response to classroom complexity is grounded in a proactive and coordinated system approach designed to address challenges before they escalate. Instead of reacting to individual issues as they arise, Learning Services is focusing on designing learning environments that anticipate and accommodate diverse needs. This includes integrating services across multiple domains, such as our behavior support, SLP support, mental health supports, and occupational therapy supports. Coordination ensures that these supports are functioning together. A key element of this strategy is aligning our resources and expertise so that schools receive timely assistance. This approach also emphasizes consistency across the division, ensuring that students experience equitable support regardless of their school. By focusing on learning environments, the system prioritizes conditions that enable all students to engage meaningfully with instruction. This includes maintaining safe, predictable, and inclusive classrooms that promote well-being and academic success. Ultimately, the coordinated system approach strengthens both student outcomes and educator capacity, creating a stronger and more adaptable educational environment across the division. The continuum of supports is a foundational component of Edmonton Catholic Schools' strategy for addressing classroom complexity. This model organizes supports into tiers that match the intensity of intervention with the level of student need. At the universal level, supports are designed to benefit all of our students, focusing on creating inclusive and effective learning environments. As student needs become more specific, Targeted supports are introduced to address emerging challenges, often through small group interventions and specialized instructional strategies. For students with the most complex needs, intensive individualized supports are implemented involving multidisciplinary teams and external partnerships when necessary. This tiered framework ensures that resources are used efficiently and that interventions are applied at the appropriate level. It also prevents the escalation of issues by addressing challenges early through universal and targeted supports. The continuum emphasizes flexibility, allowing educators and support teams to adjust interventions as student needs evolve. By structuring supports in this way, the division ensures consistency across schools and strengthens the system's ability to respond effectively. The implementation of our tiered continuum of supports has had a significant positive impact on classroom environments and our student outcomes. Universal supports create a strong foundation by establishing clear expectations, inclusive teaching practices, and supportive routines that benefit all of our students. These practices reduce the need for more intensive interventions by addressing potential barriers early. Our targeted supports further enhance classroom effectiveness by addressing specific needs through focused instructional strategies and small group interventions. The level of support allows educators to respond more precisely to student needs without disrupting the overall classroom environment. Intensive supports provide individualized interventions for students with complex needs, ensuring that they can participate meaningfully in learning alongside with their peers. The integration of these tiers creates a seamless system where support levels are interconnected rather than isolated. As a result, classrooms become more stable, predictable, and conducive to learning. Our educators have experienced reduced stress and increased confidence in their ability to manage our diverse needs, while students benefit from the improved engagement and a stronger sense of belonging. Edmonton Catholic Schools has leveraged a wide range of coordinated division services to support our classrooms in managing increasing complexity. These services include behavior therapy, speech and language pathology, occupational therapy, and mental health supports, all of which operate collaboratively to enhance student success. Rather than functioning independently, these teams are integrated into the daily operations of schools, providing embedded support that aligns with classroom needs. This integration ensures that interventions are timely, relevant, and responsive to the unique context of each school. For educators, this means access to specialized expertise that can form teaching strategies and improve student engagement. For students, it results in more personalized and effective support that addresses their individual needs holistically. The coordinated nature of these services promotes consistency across the division, ensuring that all schools benefit from the same high-quality support structures. And by aligning these services with a unified framework, the division maximizes the impact of its resources. Our targeted supports on this slide provide an example of how our division supports are being implemented in response to the increasing classroom complexity, particularly related to growing cultural and linguistic diversity across Edmonton Catholic schools. One World, One Centre model is designed to support our students and families as they enter our school system, particularly those who are new to Canada or navigating a new language and educational environment. This work goes way beyond initial assessment. It focuses on coordinated entry, early identification of needs, and connection to appropriate supports, ensuring that students are set up for success as they transition into our schools. At the same time, we are seeing a consistent increase in the number of English as an additional language learners across our division, and this growth reflects the broader demographic trends and contributes to increasingly the diverse classroom environments. With this increase comes greater complexity. Students are not only acquiring language, but may also be adjusting to the new cultural context, prior educational interruptions, or additional learning and well-being needs. This requires our shift in how we support our classrooms. This response is not isolated supports, but again, a coordinated system-level strategies that include instructional adaptations, language supports, and collaboration with the family and the school community. Importantly, this work is strength-based. Multilingual learners bring significant assets to our classrooms, and our goal is to ensure that these strengths are recognized and built upon while also providing the necessary supports to ensure full participation in learning. This demonstrates how the division is proactively responsible to changing student demographics by aligning our services, strengthening entry processes, and ensuring that schools are equipped to support the increasing diverse learners. Ultimately, this contributes to classrooms that are more inclusive, responsive, and better able to support all students in achieving success. What is important to emphasize is that these specialized roles do not operate independently. This has been a coordinated and integrated system of support designed to strengthen our classroom environments across all of our Edmonton Catholic schools. The behavior team has focused on staff capacity and supporting safe, predictable learning environments through approaches such as positive behavior supports, nonviolent crisis intervention, and restorative practices. They help schools move from reactive responses to proactive preventative strategies. The occupational therapy team has played a critical role in supporting student regulation, sensory needs, and participation in classroom routines. Their work ensures that the physical and environmental conditions of learning are accessible and responsive to student needs. The speech and language team has supported communication, which is foundational to both learning and belonging. This includes targeted interventions such as reading support, as well as more specialized services like augmentative and alternative communication, ensuring that all students have a voice and can participate meaningfully in their classroom. Our family school liaison workers are essential in bridging school and community. They coordinate with key partners such as Alberta Health Services and Children's Services to ensure that supports extend beyond the classroom and address broader family and well-being needs. Our REACH team has represented an example of intensive multidisciplinary collaboration, bringing together behavior, occupational, speech and language, and family support expertise to respond to the students within the most complex needs. This ensures that supports have been coordinated rather than fragmented. In addition, our communities of practice, such as our reframing curriculum team and initiative, has supported our teachers' learning and building system-wide capacity to respond to diverse student needs with our new curriculum. Finally, school-based mental health supports have provided both preventative and responsive services, including psychoeducational resources, counseling, and connections to our community services. Taken together, all of these roles have reflected a comprehensive, layered system of support where expertise has been brought into the classroom in a very coordinated way. The coordinated system of supports that has been implemented has led to meaningful improvements in both classroom environments and student outcomes. One of the most significant impacts is the reduction of pressure on our individual teachers, allowing them to focus more on instruction rather than crisis management. Students have benefited from increased engagement, better regulation, and a stronger sense of belonging, all of which have been critical factors in academic success. Additionally, the system has fostered stronger collaboration among our educators and support staff, enhancing the overall capacity of schools to respond to diverse needs. The emphasis on proactive and preventative strategies has helped reduce the frequency and intensity of behavioral challenges, creating more stable learning environments. And finally, our work has been grounded in our Catholic faith, recognizing each student as a sacred gift entrusted to our care. We are called to respond with compassion, dignity, and a commitment to ensure that every learner is known, supported, and able to flourish. As we conclude, it is important to recognize that classroom complexity is not a temporary challenge. It is a sustained and increasing reality across our system. What this work has demonstrated is that Edmonton Catholic Schools is responding in a deliberate, coordinated, and system-focused way. Rather than placing the responsibility on individual classrooms and teachers, we are strengthening the broader conditions that support teaching and learning across all of our schools. Through the intentional alignment of multidisciplinary teams, instructional practices, and system processes, we are reducing the barriers that impact student engagement and participation. This allows our classrooms to become more stable, predictable, and responsive environments where both students and staff can thrive. Ultimately, our focus remains clear: to ensure that every student experiences a sense of belonging, is able to meaningfully participate in learning, and is supported to achieve success. This is how we are sustaining our inclusive, responsive, and high-functioning classrooms across Edmonton Catholic Schools.
Thank you, Director Malala. And at this time, I'd like to turn it back to Chief Superintendent Anderson for the recommendation.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Director Malala, Superintendent Peterson, for providing that leadership for our division to provide that comprehensive, as you used, continuum of supports and services. And also just want to take this opportunity to thank our government for the targeted funding for our complexity team. So we had 42 teams for our division, and the more recent funding announcement to reduce class sizes with an additional 140 teachers. So that will help us address some of the complexity that we are facing. So at this time, I'll read the recommendation. It is that the Board of Trustees, that based on the evidence provided in supporting students in addressing classroom complexity report, the Board of Trustees determines that the following quality indicators have been met as per Board Policy 12, Appendix B, relative to the current evaluation period. Quality Indicator 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 3.1, 3.2, 5.3, 5.5, and 5.6.
Thank you very much, Chief Superintendent Anderson, Superintendent Peterson, Director Malala, and your entire team for today's, and it's an excellent presentation and report. We all know that classroom complexity has become this year's new buzzword. Commendations to the team for their dedicated support in responding to classroom complexity, and of course for remaining steadfast in our commitment to creating learning environments that where students belong and that meaningful learning can take place. Now, this report also demonstrates that optimal learning conditions are essential and can only be strengthened when inclusion is understood. So I picked up on that several times. Thank you. Kudos to all for recognizing this is a shared responsibility. And I know that Chief Superintendent Anderson, of course, alluded to the fund, not alluded, she came out and said it, of the funding and the advocacy that took place, and she's absolutely right. But I'd also like to commend Chief Superintendent Anderson because we're proud of her participation on the Cabinet Committee, because what that did was it ensured that the division's perspective was also represented at the table, strengthening both dialogue and outcomes, and that the board's strong advocacy has resulted in additional funding to, of course, help our students. Now, of course, this recommendation requires a motion, and I do see Vice Chair Tuchansky in queue, so I'll turn it over to her to make this motion. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that based on the evidence provided in the Supporting Schools and Addressing Classroom Complexity report, the Board of Trustees determines that the following quality indicators have been met as per Board Policy 12, Appendix B, relative to the current evaluation period. Quality indicator 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 3.1, 3.2, 5.3, 5.5, and 5.6.
Thank you very much. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
I do. I like woo again. Like this is crazy. So grateful. This is such a complex report. I'm not going to go in. I'm not going to repeat what you've said. But the gratitude for everybody involved, the fact that we did have a seat at the table, we had a presence, our student voice kids spoke about it, our staff spoke about it, our families spoke about it, and people responded. You responded, the government responded, and it's led us to here as a result of all of that, and we wouldn't be anywhere without what you guys have done too, because it's one thing to recognize it and speak of it, but it's another to move forward with it. So we are so grateful. It is a gigantic report. We've heard it twice. I could hear it 55 more times and literally still pick something out of it each and every time. So thank you. It is extraordinary. We're grateful for all you've done and clearly what you will continue to do. So thank you very, very much.
Yeah, thank you. And I just want to piggyback off of what Vice Chair Tuchansky has said. I think that one thing that is quite prevalent is the fact that government has heard us, right? And so now what we're going to do with that money, like how, because of course different divisions have different complexity needs and their situations are all diverse. But the fact that we are doing what we need to do, I think speaks volumes to who we are, recognizing that these supports need to be addressed so that our staff and our teachers can go in and do a good job. So, kudos once again to the team for recognizing that they need all the support that they can get, because if they're not well, then student success is not going to be what we want it to be. So thank you for the recognition of that. Next in queue is Trustee Pellick. Go ahead, please. Oh, one moment, Trustee Pellick. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Just a couple of questions. I'm just wondering, for the neurotypical student that is in classrooms with high complex needs, what sort of supports are available for those students that don't meet the criteria that, a complex student would have? But being in those situations, they would also need we're older, we can know empathy, compassion, and those things are taught at such a young age. So I'm just wondering what kind of supports are offered to those particular students that are in that environment.
Madam Chair, to Trustee Pellick, thank you for the question. So when we look at our school communities, and then drill into our classroom communities, we see exactly that. We see a community, and we see that we are part of a faith community, and we really lean into our Catholic social teachings, as you heard in our previous presentation, to help build that level of understanding, and that starts at a very young age. From kindergarten, as we know, we support inclusive learning environments, and so that ability to see differences as gifts as opposed to deficits is one of our, I would say, our foundational belief. We're all made in the image and likeness of God. When we're looking at supports for all students, the way that we approach inclusive supports is our supports are within a classroom. They may, at any given moment, be directed to an individual student who is neurodiverse, or to students that are typically developing. And so that level of support is very fluid within a classroom. And so I'm very confident that when classrooms have different support personnel within their classrooms, that support is available to all. But it's really about the culture that we develop within Edmonton Catholic Schools and who we are as Catholics that provides that foundation where our youngest learners, when they leave in high school, understand that we all have differences, and those differences are gifts from God. I'll leave it at that for now, unless you have some follow-up.
I do, but that can hold for a bit. The other question I have is, with all of the new influx of these teachers coming in, hopefully we can, gather the 140 that we've been allotted. And with the time frame that we have now for the next upcoming year, and with these complexities and everything that goes with that, how are we going to instill that in our new teachers that are coming in when, you know, we have a short time frame here?
Madam Chair, to Trustee Pellick, another exceptional question, as always. I love your questions, as we've often shared. So I'm just, first of all, going to commend our partners in human resources. And so we work very closely with human resources in terms of course, they're the recruitment specialists, and they're out there promoting Edmonton Catholic Schools as a top employer, as we heard this afternoon. But then we also, once we secure those staff members, whether it's teaching staff or in terms of our complexity teams, educational assistants, we work very closely as departments in terms of providing onboarding training, professional development. So for example, we just had a beginning teachers conference this past Saturday for our current 25-26 new teachers. We have those conferences multiple times throughout the year. Now, in relation to the class size teachers that we've been that we're so grateful for the funding for, we are going to be putting our heads together in our two departments to look at what does training and ensuring that a base level of capacity is present in all of our new hires. We're going to be onboarding a lot of new teachers, God willing. And so we're going to be looking at how do we as learning services and human resources come together to look at that beginning teacher, whether it's new to Edmonton Catholic but experienced or brand new to the profession. How do we really ensure that we are leveraging our consultants, our managers, our directors, our professionals within learning services and beyond to ensure that capacity is built with those team members. And so we're looking at structures beyond what we currently have. We have 3 beginning teacher sessions throughout the year currently. We're looking at scaling that up for 26-27 in anticipation to the new hires that we will be onboarding. In terms of our complexity teams, we've been doing a lot of work, again, with human resources in providing training for our new educational assistant hires. So we have what we typically offer. We offer 5 throughout the year to our existing staff, but over spring break, we had the commitment of human resources staff and our managers in learning services to train approximately 60 new hires over 3 days in topics such as language development, so using AAC, because lots of our educational assistants are working with students that have a communication device, behavioral supports, and so we really turned that around quickly, and now we are working on EA internship, so in collaboration again with human resources, offering training for another new crop of educational assistants. I believe again about 50 or 60 educational assistants that are currently receiving training from one of our retired principals, a veteran principal, Darren DeForge, who's doing the in-class work. And then Human Resources has given them almost like a practical work where they've assigned them over the course of the week to practice what they've learned in schools. And so that's just a real creative way of being able to provide the theory and the practice for those individuals. So we do have lots of creative ideas percolating, and we feel really confident in our capacity of our consultants and, like I said, our specialized managers to support teacher development and support staff development over the next, like you said, short time frame.
I guess, and that is, I guess, part of my concern is, you know, with there being such a short time frame coming on into summer, and just making sure that the incoming staff are properly informed and PD and all of those things prior to September, with there being such a short turnaround. So,
Yeah, well noted. And I think it's really important to reinforce too that this will be ongoing. This isn't a one and done.
True
right?
enough.
We're
True
gonna
enough.
we're gonna provide some foundational thing. We have our summer summit in August that teachers can sign up for, and then we do have a beginner teachers session in August to really get them feeling prepared for that month of September. And then we do ongoing support. Of course, you know our structure with our consultants, elbow to elbow with those teachers. So mentoring in real time, for example, those things will be continuing throughout the school year. But yes, we do have a plan for that September ready.
Yep. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much, Trustee Pellick. Next in queue is Trustee Engel. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm really glad that supporting schools and addressing complexities became so important. All of a sudden, it sort of hit ahead and it became very, very important. I do have a couple quick questions. One of them is with the 42 teams we were aligned. I've heard some really good things, and I've asked about this before, and you've reiterated some great things are happening. Did we have to apply at all for any exemptions in the schools that they were designated to, or was it pretty bang on?
Chair Palazzo to Trustee Engel, we stuck with the 42 schools that were identified through Alberta Education and Childcare at that time, and we just stayed committed with the 42 that they identified, and we feel that they targeted and highlighted schools that we would agree could benefit from those additional supports. And there's lots of really great examples of how schools have really taken this short time frame but made impactful differences just in the few short months that we've had that funding.
Yeah, it was everyone went into it with a lot of skepticism, but I've heard so many positive things. So thank you for that answer. And the other thing that I was kind of wondering about is the difference between elementary and then when we get into junior high, senior high. Like, for example, the 42 teams were all elementary. And I'm going to make some assumptions maybe in my speaking, so correct me if any of them are wrong. But I think with complexity in high school, when it gets to high school, there's a lot more streaming. And so the complexity isn't as evident in sort of having multiple neurodivergent learners in the same classroom. I guess I'm speaking to the 140 teachers that were hired. Is there, because high school has its own sort of set of problems in terms of how many kids they can have in an English 30 class or a physics 30 class, that sort of thing. Is this also the 140 teachers going into an elementary school, or are some of them going to be deployed into high schools?
So Chair Palazzo to Trustee Engel, at this time, the 140 teachers are targeted for kindergarten to grade 9.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do know that there is another pot of money that has been set aside that we are hopeful that that money will be allocated to high schools, and we're just waiting to see what the direction from Alberta Education and Childcare is on that next.
And I really hope that some of it is because, I mean, yes, the complexity, and we do have the streaming as we get into grade 10, 11, and 12, and I understand that. And I think that's probably why we have a shortage of elementary school teachers versus senior high teachers, because that complexity is right there facing them every day, and there's no streaming. But I do hope that they look at that too, because these kids are going into their careers, they're going into university, and sort of, I think that it was Trustee Palazzo that pointed it out at our last meeting with the cabinet, that education, a lot of kids are getting 92 and not getting into university. You know what I mean? So we have to be very cognizant of what we're doing at that end of it. I don't know, it's kind of the yin and the yang, like you find a solution here and then you start focusing in on a problem on the other end. So that's just basically, but thank you for that. And it is the streaming that has caused the...
I would say that's Chair Palazzo to Trustee Engel, I would say that that's an element of it, but I also want to draw your thinking to the work that's done at elementary and junior high, where we're often working on building independence, building skills of students. And then as students mature and get older, the requirement for elbow-to-elbow support, the gap widens, right? And so I think we're doing a good job in our elementary classrooms and our elementary schools and really working on targeted supports and building that independence and the capacity of the child so that they can be independent in junior high and high school. So I think there's a combination there. Yeah.
Thank you for that. It was worth me asking the question just
for
to
sure.
sort of put that piece of the puzzle together. So thank you so much for that answer.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Trustee Engel. Next in queue is Trustee Fiorello. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a question about, I guess for the newcomers to Canada, I think it's fairly typical when new communities come over, they seek to live near people who they know, maybe family or other people that come from a similar culture. And then as a result, it would follow that perhaps schools serving those areas have a higher population of newcomers. And I'm just curious, what are the options that we have when perhaps that balance shifts in the classroom where there's a greater number of, or the ratio of newcomers who perhaps don't speak English? Their journey to Canada may have come with its own challenges that needs to have some support. What are our options to support those students when they're in the classroom, when there's like a large population of them all clustered together?
Madam Chair, to Trustee Fiorello. So we have multiple ways that we support students of all capabilities. But in terms of our new to Canada learners, we have our Ellie, our English language learner educator, that is an amazing support to classrooms and to schools who have large numbers of English as additional language students. So that's one way that we support. And then I would say more holistically in those schools, we have the family school liaison worker position that supports students within the school, but then of course supports the family as well. And so that's another avenue of support. Now, I spoke briefly about our educational assistant training. Our educational assistants also are receiving training in supporting EAL students as well. And so many schools have a variety of educational assistants that can also support classroom teachers in bringing that or removing the barriers to access to curriculum. So I think that if we look at the different, Antonella Malella referenced like a multi-tiered approach, we begin with that tier one approach where we want our teachers to have really strong pedagogy and practice that supports, UDL, for example, practices that support all learners but are necessary for some. So we look at that necessary for some could be our neurodivergent students, but also our English as an additional language students. And then as we go up in the tier or the student needs are greater, maybe they are level 1, no English, then that's where we work with our manager of English as an additional language, Sarah Federation, and her team. We bring in consultant support to help build, again, school capacity, and then individual teacher capacity. We do then also provide recommendations. With our EAL funding from Alberta Education, schools then use that funding to determine what type of supports best support that English as additional language community.
Is there, I guess, sort of along with that, I was trying to more suggest like classroom readiness, perhaps like the cultural norms. Like I know they come in through One World, One Center and they do a lot of great work, but those students show up to school and they're perhaps still not ready to be in that classroom in groups. I mean, like, do we have opportunities to pull a group of, say, if there's 10 students that happen to be in a room, just to help understand how to be in a classroom in a Canadian context?
For sure. Thanks for the follow-up question. Again, that's where those embedded supports that a school has would then gravitate to those groups of students and work with them in the readiness to learn, I guess, if you want to call it that, the readiness to learn skills that those students may need. If there's a small cohort, we certainly see support staff or even our instructional coaches, our intervention teachers will work with smaller groups of teachers, or pardon me, students to build that capacity so that their readiness to learn and their skills and their understanding of what school looks like in this context is elevated.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Trustee Fiorello. Next in queue is Trustee Mutala. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'm not going to say too much, but I just want to say a big thank you for all our multi-teams that we have in our schools that help all of our students so every one of those students can be assisted. One thing I'm curious about, that first complexity grant that we got, is that going to be followed through for the next years or so, or is that new funding for the 140 teachers going to overtake that part?
Chair Palazzo to Trustee Mutala. So the first 42 schools, that funding carries through to 26-27.
Okay.
So to the end of June of 2027.
Perfect.
And the 140 teachers is also to the end of June of 2027. And then we anxiously await the 27-28 funding manual to see where that allocation may sit within the funding manual.
Perfect.
I anticipate that that is where we'll see those dollars directed, but again, it's a wait and see.
We will continue to advocate for that. Another thing I want to know, have we had an update as when the standards for the new inclusive ed? I know we heard rumors it's coming out this fall, this September. Have we heard an update on that?
So, Chair Palazzo to Trustee Mutala, our province is currently working very hard with a variety of committees. Chief Anderson being part of that, myself being on another arm of that work, and including some principal engagement. So we had a couple of ECSD principals having the opportunity to provide feedback. And so that work, they have a very tight timeline. They're very committed. I cannot quote the exact rollout date, but I know that they are very committed to having those standards updated in
By fall.
hopefully by fall.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Mutala. Next in queue is Vice Chair Tuchansky. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, I was just in queue to close my motion.
You're closing your motion?
May I?
Oh, you may. May I just say one thing?
No, sorry. It's late.
Okay, it is late, but I feel I need to ask.
Okay.
And there's no answer required, so that's even better. But I am going to say this. I just don't know how. It's kind of a loaded observation, very rhetorical in nature. You're doing great work. You are. I can see it. I see it. It's evident. Our chief superintendent was on the cabinet committee. You've just indicated that you're on another arm. So Edmonton Catholic has a place at the table. I never thought about how I'm going to frame this. So please, take this with a grain of salt. But principals are site-based decision makers. So they're going to make decisions for their schools based on the context that is, and they need to, right? That's what they're there for. But we have parents and possibly even staff who aren't aware of what's happening. I'm just wondering, rhetorical, is there an appetite from the division to say, look at the great news, look at all the great strides that are being made, that have been made. Just food for thought. I love hearing this, but not every parent rarely anybody watches the public board meetings. Rarely people know what's happening, and yet you're working very hard to ensure that supports and resources are in place and that every child is being given the opportunity to learn. But how many people know that? In the fall, teachers walked away thinking that they weren't heard. Some of them are still of that mentality, that they weren't heard, but they have been. And I'm thinking there may be a very different feel in the schools from staff if they knew what was happening. Again, there's no answer to it, just food for thought. Nope. I know that when I talk to people, I always say, well, look, we're doing A, B, C, D. That really? But it's, like, we should be screaming it from the rooftops, right? Like, our chief superintendent sat on the committee. Look what happened. We received this funding. This funding is now coming to your schools. Our division has received this many EAs. We have now received this many teachers. We're getting this many more teachers. Now, maybe they're not going to that school, but at least the principal could explain this is what, to the staff anyway, maybe not to the parents, but to the staff, just food for thought as we move
appreciate
forward,
that.
because I say, like, these are amazing, amazing strides that we've made. We should be sharing. Yeah, because I think Edmonton Catholic has really had a big say at the table. And why are we not applauding the work that's been done? Anyway, that's all I needed to say. So that being said, thank you. Our vice chair has already closed the motion, and she's not speaking to it, so we will now call the vote. Thank you. She did. She cut me off. Yes, I just broke. You know what? I just broke the protocol, but thank you. So calling the vote.
I think I broke it.
Okay. Now, apologies here. Okay, we're re-voting here. Thank you. As all trustees have voted and are in favor, we will note for the record that the motion is carried. Thank you once again to the exceptional work that you are all doing. We will now move on to 3.4, moving to Bishop's Assurance Model in our schools report, and back over to you, Chief Superintendent Anderson.
Thank you very much. So Bishop's Assurance is a provincially developed framework that strengthens how Catholic school divisions demonstrate, reflect on, and renew their Catholic identity. Today we have Superintendent Fian, Manager Tellerico, and Catholic Identity Consultant Susanna Kaup, who will be sharing more about our division's move to Bishop's Assurance.
Thank you very much, Chief Superintendent Anderson, Madam Chair, trustees. Again, we do appreciate this opportunity to share highlights from the Moving to Bishop's Assurance model in our schools report. This presentation marks an important point on our ongoing journey as a division. It reflects a shift from describing Catholic identity through the 5 marks to an intentional living, measuring, and renewing that identity through the Bishop's Assurance framework. In today's presentation, we'll briefly revisit the foundation of the 5 marks of Catholic school identity and faith formation plan, share key insights from this transition year, and outline how the Bishop's Assurance model will guide our future work through reflection, evidence, and continuous growth. This work has been shaped through the thoughtful work of our Executive Director, Susan McCauley, through the 5 Marks Faith Formation Plan, and of Manager Sandra Tallarico, and our consultant in religious education, Susanna Kaup, whose leadership and commitment have helped bring the Bishop's Assurance framework to life in our school division. Religious education is at the heart of our Catholic mission. It is more than curriculum. It's about forming students and staff in faith, that they can live and serve with integrity and purpose. Over the past few years, Edmonton Catholic Schools has concentrated its work primarily on the 5 marks of Catholic school identity and faith formation plan, now rooted in collaboration with the Archdiocese of Edmonton. The transition to Bishop's Assurance marks a significant moment in the evolution of Catholic education within the school division. Through prayer, liturgy, service, and strong role models, religious education nurtures a Catholic identity that prepares graduates to contribute meaningfully to the church and society. In addition to further supporting the school-parish-home connection, the work that is underway challenges the system to reflect honestly, act purposefully, and witness authentically. It recognizes that true growth in faith is ongoing, rooted in grace, guided by discernment and sustained through community. Assurance is a feeling of confidence or certainty about something, a firm promise, or the state of being sure or certain.
Thank you, Ryan. So thank you all for being here today and for inviting us to speak. I'm so excited to share Bishop's Assurance with you. I know it might be new to some of you, and you might be wondering what Bishop's Assurance is. Well, it's a process rooted in mission. It's a faith-centered approach to accountability and improvement, and it focuses on who we are as Catholic schools, not just what we do. It aligns system practices with gospel values and church teaching, and it supports continuous growth in both faith formation and education. In addition to supporting our continuous growth, working collaboratively with our bishops is the preferred method and model of all Catholic education partners and organizations. So we all know the importance of Catholic education, and you as an amazing governing board advocate for this each and every day. So you might be wondering, if we are doing this already, why does it matter? Well, it matters because it allows us to put a renewed focus on what is important by fostering a growth mindset and strengthening our commitment to authentic Catholic education. It's not about doing anything in addition to, but to deepen and celebrate what we are already doing, and to share that good news with the Archbishop so that he can share that good news with the community. I'd like to think about it in the context of a story about the future. Once upon a time, a school community began a journey of assurance, not as a checklist, but as a living story of growth, faith, and connection. At the heart of this journey was a desire to deepen Catholic identity in every classroom, hallway, gathering space. This was not just about symbols or traditions, but about creating environments where gospel values could be seen, heard, and lived each day. As the journey unfolded, the community turned its attention to intentional faith formation. Students and staff and families were invited into meaningful opportunities to grow in faith together through reflection, dialogue, and shared experiences that strengthened both understanding and spirit. Along the way, leaders and educators worked to align their policies, practices, and culture with gospel values. Decisions became more purposeful, grounded in compassion, justice, and service, ensuring that what was taught and what was lived were deeply connected. The community also embraced a mindset of continuous improvement. Through thoughtful reflection and careful attention to evidence, they asked important questions. How are students doing? What can be better? And each answer became a stepping stone towards something stronger and more responsive. Relationships grew stronger too. The schools reached outward to build meaningful connections with parishes and the wider community, recognizing that education is most powerful when it is shared and supported by many. As understanding deepened, the community gained clarity around the 5 marks of Catholic education, using them as a guide to shape their path forward. Throughout this story, one purpose remained clear: to demonstrate to stakeholders and the broader community that students were thriving and that the system was meeting their needs. Success was not assumed. It was shown through action, evidence, and shared understanding. In the end, assurance was not simply a destination, but a way of being. It was achieved through authentic engagement between education partners like educators, families, parishes, and leaders, working together to nurture a culture where continuous improvement was not just expected, but embraced. And so, we come back to the present to begin this story, shaped by faith, guided by reflection, and strengthened by community. And that is exactly what Bishop's Assurance allows us to do: engage in a continuous cycle of renewal, refresh our mindset, not be afraid to identify areas of growth as stepping stones to something authentic, to witness, celebrate, and live our faith in new and amazing ways, and to encounter Christ in each other each and every day. The movement toward Bishop's Assurance represents a shift in mindset, from maintaining identity to actively nurturing and demonstrating it. The foundation is clear. This past year, team members from the Archdiocese have attended opening school mass, Faith Development Day, Father Michael Moreau Youth Faith Day, weekly liturgies at Lumen Christi Catholic Education Center, religious education gatherings, and board meetings. And these encounters have fostered a spirit of openness and mutual trust, strengthening the relationship between the school division and the church. In September, I stepped into my new role, beginning a journey rooted in listening, learning, and discovery. Much of my early work focused on research, seeking to understand how others were approaching this work from across the province. I had the opportunity to connect with colleagues from Elk Island Catholic Schools, Calgary Catholic, and Christ the Redeemer, all of whom participated in the provincial pilot the previous year. Their insights were invaluable in shaping my understanding. During this time, I also engaged in conversations with representatives from the Archdiocese while the installation of the Archbishop was still pending. And I want to be very clear that it is neither my intention nor the intention of the Archdiocese to move forward independently of His Grace's leadership. Rather, our hope is to collaborate directly with the Archbishop when possible and alongside one of his senior priests. And while nothing is confirmed at this time, it is being considered that Father Paul Kavanagh, someone many of you know and love, may serve as the Archbishop's representative, recognizing that His Grace cannot possibly be present for every engagement. By January 2026, Ryan, Sandy, and I began to reflect on the research gathered and what it could mean within our own division. And one key realization was the lack of consistency across the province in how Bishop's Assurance was implemented. This led us to recognize the importance of creating something intentional, coherent, and reflective of our unique ECSD context. Knowing that this could not and should not work in isolation, we began assembling a diverse group of administrators from across the division. Our goal was to draw on a wide range of experiences and perspectives to help shape both the process and the structure of school visits. By bringing together the expertise of school leaders alongside amazing colleagues from religious education and the superintendent's department, we are building a collaborative, thoughtful approach grounded in both knowledge and lived practice. Currently, we are shaping the process and taking a careful look at what the school visits will involve so that school leaders feel confident and supported welcoming us into their schools. I'm so excited to tell you that beginning in September 2026, can you tell I'm super excited? 2026 and extending through the fall term, pilot implementation of Bishop's Assurance process will start in our division. This initial phase will involve 4 schools and their respective administrators, all of whom have contributed to the development and shaping of the ECSD plan for Bishop's Assurance. These schools have been selected by the division to ensure representation across diverse programs, divisional levels, and a range of geographic locations. And we have Anne Fitzgerald with Susanna Nigro-Vecchio, Bishop David Mochuk with Teresa Volk, Holy Trinity with Dale Astle, and going to be formally of J.J. Bolin in the fall, she's moving to Cardinal Collins, is Anna Olivieri. We're so grateful for their expertise. Our goal with our piloting schools is to consider what is working and what requires some attention, refining the process, if you will, and then moving to full implementation, adding another 16 schools over the course of the year, and then all ECSD schools in approximately 5 years. As Bishop's Assurance continues to take shape, we will maintain close collaboration with the Archdiocese of Edmonton, specifically His Grace Archbishop Hero and Father Paul Kavanagh, ensuring our efforts support and sustain school communities in nurturing faith and deepening their relationship with Christ.
By integrating faith with learning, Edmonton Catholic Schools creates opportunities where students can encounter God, deepen their understanding, and live out the values of compassion, justice, and service. Our work in religious education services and throughout the entire school division continues to focus on strong curriculum, meaningful faith formation, and supports for staff that ensure faith is permeated throughout all instruction. As the division continues the journey of Bishop's Assurance, it does so with a clear understanding. Catholic education is not simply about preserving tradition, but about living it fully, courageously, and faithfully, with prayer and with purpose. Together, we continue to grow in faith and witness the transformative power of Catholic education. And with that, we will turn it back to Chief Superintendent Anderson.
Okay, thank you very much, Superintendent Fian and the religious education team for taking Bishop's Assurance and seeing how it'll be applied within our division context. And so, Madam Chair, our recommendation is that based on the evidence provided in the Moving to Bishop's Assurance model, in our schools report, and the 5 Marks of Catholic School Identity and Faith Formation Plan progress report, the Board of Trustees determines that the following quality indicators have been met as per Board Policy 12 Appendix B relative to the current evaluation period. Quality Indicator 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 5.5, and 10.5.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Anderson, Superintendent Fian, Manager Tallarico, Catholic Identity Consultant. Did I get that right? Kaup, is that correct? Okay, that so suits you. And of course, we have our Resource Staff Executive Director Macaulay and the entire team for today's excellent presentation and for another impressive and comprehensive report. So I love everything about this report, especially your Once Upon a Time story. Like you had me at Once Upon a Time. But the part that resonates the most is this line. The Bishop's Assurance model represents a movement from describing Catholic identity to actively assuring it through continuous discernment, collaborations with our archdiocesan partners, and reflective practice. It sums it up beautifully, and if that's what we're doing, amazing. We want to further applaud the division's ongoing work in strengthening Catholic identity, of course, through the 5 Marks of Catholic School Identity and the Faith Formation Plan. Not only does this new model depict our Catholic identity, but it aligns continuous improvement with our Catholic mission by fostering that we are ensuring system-wide practices that support both student success and the spiritual and moral purpose of Catholic education. Thank you for all of the work that you've done on this. And as this recommendation requires a motion, and I do see Trustee Mutala, because this would be right up her alley. She was first to putting her name in. She would like to make this motion, so I'll turn it to you, Trustee Mutala.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that based on the evidence provided in the Moving to Bishop Assurance model in our schools report and the 5 Marks of Catholic School Identity and Faith Formation Plan progress report, the Board of Trustees determines that the following quality indicators have been met as per Board Policy 12 Appendix B relative to the current evaluation period as previously read. And yes, I would like to say something because I was around in 2014. Sandy, we were around back in Elk Island Catholic Schools. It's Archbishop Jordan High School, where we had our Catholic Ed Symposium, which provided a clear understanding of the 5 Marks of Catholic education. And it was a very cold, wintry night, and we were all there to understand this. This was a really good starting point for us, but it was a starting point. So I want to say thank you for moving this forward, because the Bishop's Assurance model is based on the 5 Marks of Catholic School Identity and the Faith Formation Plan progress report. I'm so grateful that we're moving this framework because it provides us a common assurance model that emphasizes faithful to the Catholic teaching, but transparency and ongoing growth rather than compliance. And like Sandra said, actively moving, which is really good. It took a while, but the Bishop's Assurance builds on this foundation by introducing a more intentional system-level process for reflection, evidence, and accountability in living Catholic identity across all school divisions in the province. And I was just at ACSTA meeting for a day and a half, And they're trying to coordinate many different things across the province so that all school divisions will work more consistently together. And this is one of them that they were talking about. So it's a movement for us to describe our Catholic identity to make us more consistent, and I'm so grateful we're starting the pilot because I don't want Elk Island Catholic to get ahead of us in that area, so they're already on the pilot. So thank you for bringing this forward and starting with 4 schools in the fall. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you very much, Trustee
And I'm
Mutala.
passionate and excited about it too.
I'm sorry. I can't believe she said that out loud. I'm sorry. Trustee Engel, you're next in queue. Go ahead,
I just
please.
want to say thank you so much for the presentation and the work you've done, starting meeting in January. What is this all about? You know, you took us through the whole, and it isn't easy being the last people to present in such a heavy meeting. So I really want to commend you for your enthusiasm and passion. It was remarkable. I thought, are these guys going to fall asleep? Am I going to fall asleep? But guess what? None of us did. And it was an exceptional report, and we learned lots of great things. Now, when I look at the Bishop's assurance model, what makes me the most excited is we're giving assurance. We've been kicking the can down the road for so long on what is authentic Catholic education. And finally, we have a measurement. My only question is, and I think that we've talked about this before, is how are we going to inform the community of the Bishop's assurance model and how we are doing to fit in as we have our 4 schools, 16 schools, and in the next 5 years, all of them? Is there going to be an ongoing communication with our community? Is it something the trustees should take to the community through their school councils? Could we mention it at a cost? I just think it's so exciting. I want to share it with parents so we can say we have a mechanism. The Bishop has, started this assurance model, which we've picked up on, and we're very serious about ensuring all of our schools are truly on board with what it means to have an authentic Catholic education. So,
Madam Chair, through to Trustee Engel. Part of moving away from a traditional accountability model, which is explaining what had happened to an assurance model, is that continuous dialogue and that responsive engagement. So when it comes into the work that our group has been doing, that consultant Kaup has been doing, and Manager Tellerico has been doing, in addition with a number of others from the senior team with the Archdiocese, how we cycle back to the community, both the parishes as well as the individual parents and school communities, is something that has been discussed in detail. That's something that we want to make sure that we are getting right. As I do understand that it's been the process in some of the other pilot school divisions that the Bishop has been basically making a statement after the fact and giving some feedback back to the school divisions, which in turn gets shared with the school administration and then out through the school community. Now, in terms of a broader ability for us to, broadcast that, we're going to take a look and see what comes out of our first 4 pilot schools and where the initial communication goes out, and then we will be able to adjust from there based off the feedback of our committee and that of the Archdiocese.
well, it was just really wonderful when Chief Superintendent Anderson, and thank you so much for that, gave us kind of a feel of what's being said out there. It was wonderful, and it was assuring to all of us. So I really want to thank you for the work you do on an ongoing basis, and I further want to thank you for such a dynamic presentation at the end of a very long day. So thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Trustee Trustee Engel. And seeing no one else in queue, I'll turn it back to you, Trustee Mutala, should you wish to close your motion at this time.
I'm great.
Thank you. So I will now proceed to call the vote as all trustees. No, sorry. There we go. We have to vote first. There we go. As all trustees have voted in our favor, we're know for the record that the motion is carried, and with the assurance that our Catholic identity is what defines us. Thank you very much. And this now takes us to 4.1, Board Chair Reports. Now, it is available for everyone to read readily, and so my gift to you is going to be that I'm not going to read it to you. Ooh. Right? There's only 2 things that I'm going to highlight very quickly. We just finished celebrating our board retirement gala. And that's a big deal. And I had to mention that one, right? We had 61 retirees and it was amazing. And so, you know, I want to read the whole thing, but I won't. But it is open for you to read. But of course, each retiree leaves a legacy, as we all know, a legacy of care, faith, compassion, and commitment. And so we are extremely, I guess, honored to have been able to host them last week. So I did want to mention that one. And then, of course, the second one is encouraging news for our division. And it's basically the province's recent announcement with the class size reduction grant, which we just talked about, right? And I guess that one I probably should read just in case anybody is watching. But really, let's get real here. It's 7 o'clock. Who'd be watching our public board meeting? But that being said, these are investments that continue to help reduce class sizes, create more opportunities for meaningful student support and stronger learning environments. And because of the strong work that's being done in the division, I really feel strongly that we should be shouting this from the rooftops so that it provides our parents with the same assurance that Bishop's assurance is now moving towards. So anyway, if that have the little pun there. But that being said, we wish everyone all the best. But of course, we have one more item to do, so I'm not going to move that quickly. But I know that I'm getting the eyes on this side of the table. So we will turn it to 5.2, Chief Superintendent Report. Over to you, Superintendent Anderson.
Thank you very much. And knowing I am the final report to share, I'm doing this cautiously. You have it in the package, and you're more than welcome to read the report. It does cover the division priorities: living our faith, organizational excellence, embracing diversity, and learning excellence. And so I will just read the recommendation that the Board of Trustees acknowledges receipt of the Chief Superintendent's report on hashtag ECSD Faith Inspires May 2026 for information purposes.
Thank you very much. And I'm just going to thank you for everything that you do. And I'm not going to go into a long spiel, but so I'm honored to read the recommendation for the record that the Board of Trustees acknowledges receipt of the Chief Superintendent's report on hashtag ECSD Faith Inspires May 2026 for information purposes. And I just want to amend my last reading because I know Courtney's looking at me over there, and I just want to read my recommendation so that I don't get in trouble. And so I am proud to read the chair, that the Board of Trustees acknowledges receipt of the board chair report 2026 on hashtag ECSD Faith Inspires May 2026 for information purposes. Okay, thank you. I'm off the hook. And so yes, retroactively, that's right. And so this now takes us to 5.1, closing prayer, and we'll turn it to you, Trustee Fiorillo, to please close the meeting with prayer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As May is the month that we honor Mary, we'll finish with a Hail Mary. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
And last on the agenda is 5.2, and we are looking for a motion, and I do see Vice Chair Turchansky ready to make this motion. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak to your motion?
Good God, no.
And we will now call the vote. Thank you. And so all trustees have voted and are in favor. We'll note for the record that the motion is carried. Thank you once again for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you and God bless.
God bless you guys. Look at who's left.